appreciate it.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. I will take roll this evening. We don't have any meeting minutes to approve. Let's see, well, let me take a roll call. Trustee Shaver?
Yes, sir. Here.
Trustee Yeager?
Here.
Trustee Benedego?
Here.
Trustee McCredo?
Here.
And we have two guests, Administrator McCredo, Debbie McCredo, and also our Parks Department leader, Eric Special. So we will start our discussion. I'm just taking my notes here.
This must be the big paper that John asked for.
Yes,
Well, it makes it easy, believe me.
it does.
It does. Makes it
Yeah.
much easier.
Yep.
So everybody received an email with what was essentially the first draft in it. I don't know if you had any questions, but what you have before you in the larger sheet is actually less than what's in your first draft.
So that first draft is just showing you that the expenses were higher last year than they are this year. Except
You come on
for,
page 1?
yes,
Okay.
page 1. There's a decrease in admin, there's a decrease in parks, there's a decrease in Senior Express, there's an increase on assessors, and there's a decrease in capital outlay. Actually, no, it's not showing that.
Yeah, I was going to say.
There's-
There's nothing on there.
Yeah, nothing
I
there.
was supposed to change that, I did not. Like I said, this is tentative.
Yes.
It should be, the town one should be reduced to 20, not 30. So there would be a $10,000 decrease there. And then there's an increase with the parks capital outlay.
You say
And then the
increase?
yeah, in contingency. There's only 2 items that need to be addressed this year.
Deb, I've not quite followed you. The parks, you show 378,000, blah, blah, blah. That's the projected budget for 23, 24. That's what you're referring to, correct?
Yes?
Which is down from the 385. that's-
No, she just said it was an increase. That's why
No,
I'm asking the question.
it's down.
Yeah. The
The increase is
Okay,
on
that's
parks
fine.
capital outlay.
capital outlay, 24.5, because you didn't have it on this one.
Okay,
And
that's
the
exactly, that's
contingency
why
went
I'm
up.
missing it.
Yeah. So your express went down and assessor went up. Yeah. So what was the
Alright,
capital
any-
outlay?
Pardon me?
What was the capital outlay that didn't make the report?
There was none last year.
So we're adding it this year.
We're adding 24.5 this year.
Okay, so that's new.
I'm sure at some point you'll explain that.
Yeah, we have the breakdown
Okay.
on the back.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. It's for 2 things. It is a drinking fountain that has to be replaced, which is 4,000.
Yep.
And, hold on.
What parks have drinking fountains?
Pardon me? What did you say?
Yes, what park had a drinking fountain?
This one, down here by the shed. There's a big,
On the backside of the warming
yeah,
shelter.
backside of the warming shelter.
Okay. I don't remember that part right.
Oh, and then the flooding in the ball field.
Yeah.
They're working with the road district on that. And so these are, both of those are estimated costs.
Those are projected, the board hasn't approved those yet, correct?
The board hasn't approved
That's what
anything
this
yet.
is, right?
Okay, all right, that's
This is
it.
for the 23-24.
Just want to
the
make sure that the board say yes or nay on the 24 grand, correct?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so the projected
All right,
is,
so any other questions on the cover sheet?
projected is less reserved than prior year.
Correct.
Next one I have is contingency. We've raised that to
What's your-
150 grand from 100. I already know the answer, I'm asking for a reason.
Okay, all right, so the reason that was done, or mine and Gary were talking about, we have in our contingency for this year, $80,000 still left, 79,000. I'm going off the top of my head. It's about 79,000. So we were thinking that we could take 60,000 of that, and actually we put it in contingency. What we could do is put it into committed funds for the next year and commit for the playground equipment, because I know that is the next big expense that you guys have, and it's estimated to be $120,000 or $130,000. So since we did not spend any of that this year, you could actually take that from this year's budget rollover, put it into committed funds, and then expend the 60. So we could either leave that 150 in contingency, or you can move 120,000 out and put it into committed funds where it can only be used for
That seems like a smarter idea if we're gonna have to do.
the park equipment.
Or we could leave it at 100 grand and ask for an increase next year and tell the taxpayers that we need playground equipment. That's
Doesn't
where, that's one of the reasons to raise
That's
the
another
taxes.
option.
I'm just,
It's another option.
What did we use contingency funds for this past year?
I think what we used it for was, the switches,
Then I was
right?
gonna say, we just used it for switching.
Hold on, I can look.
Yeah, she'll-
That's why we have this.
Yep. Well, that's a whole other discussion for the future too.
Well, right, once we get, so you have the ability when you do the levy, and that'll come into the levy part, where you can actually start accumulating funds for different projects. Contingency 5.9.
that's how they save money to build this building.
Now, we used to have that, but since our funds are so low, we don't, can we just leave it all open and unrestricted? But you can start restricting it if you want to.
I thought that someone did it very sooner. This wasn't safe.
Give me a second, it's coming up.
I'm just, we don't have opinions,
All right, so I'm pretty sure it was for the switches. All right, so the contingency was used for the dash, which is our, what do you call it?
you better.
Dash?
Yeah, for all of our paperless scanning,
Yeah, so you scan all the
where we have to
paperwork.
have all of our documents secured. So 950 was that, 6,200 was the concrete over at, Whispering Hills. So that's, and then you have 617 for, I don't know what Astro is. Do you know what Astro is?
Insulation probably, yeah.
Oh, that's the insulation for the rec center ceiling.
Yeah, for the
See if
kitchen
they tell me
ceiling.
that it all starts to click.
These
that's
are
it.
nice ladies over there.
There you
So
have
we didn't
your-
have to use a lot of contingency this past year.
No.
Good.
No, we didn't have too many unexpected things this
So
year.
how much is a realistic number to keep in contingency?
I never like to let it be less than 30,000.
Okay.
I like to keep 50,
Okay?
because anything unexpected that comes up can then be utilized there. Like, so if we have a furnace go out.
Sure.
Or
Sure.
something has to, something major like that, that's what you use contingency for, something that comes up that you did not
Expect.
expect, right?
When was the
Like,
playground
we're
equipment
expecting that
needing
we're
to be
gonna have to-
replaced? I don't remember what that date was.
We don't have a
For what?
The playground equipment, the current expectancy of what we have, because there were all these pieces that needed to be replaced or repaired or.
There is no plan.
The life expectancy?
That's
Yeah,
what we
what's
have
the,
to-
what did they say?
That's in our fixed asset.
Okay.
So what do you wanna know about?
I want to know what the life expectancy is of what we currently have that we had them come in and do the whole presentation for. They did
For,
that
like,
for the park
the
equipment. They went
furnaces
through.
and whatnot?
No, she's talking strictly
no.
for the park equipment. It's 20 to 30 years life expectancy.
Okay.
Correct.
She might have missed the meeting when we talked about
I
it.
think so. It sounds like more like you're asking, what was the time frame on the horizon for when we wanted to replace it?
Yes.
Right,
I
that's
think
the
that was
question.
based on budget.
Right,
Okay.
Correct. And whether we're gonna save the poles or not.
We needed a couple other bids because of the amount, it's gonna be large enough.
Yeah, he has to go out for bid.
And one
everything,
person
yeah.
suggested, the first company that came in suggested tear out the whole thing, someone else suggested leave the poles, we can reuse them and it'll save some
Okay.
money.
Which
Yeah, I
seemed to
missed
be
that.
the best, like, in my mind, the best way to go.
Okay. So we do need to start saving for that.
So what you need to do, or what we need to do, is put it out for a request for information, have 3 or 4 park companies give us their proposals for the park, and then we take those proposals and deliberate and decide what we want, and then we put it out to bid.
Didn't the gentleman from the city of McHenry, that came and spoke to us have some suggestions or some contacts that he said?
Sure.
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Yeah. He was the previous parks
Like where we could
manager.
then easily go and look at what
I
they
think
had
we
done.
should find out who put their playground equipment in originally.
Yes.
And contact them,
Right.
if they're still in business.
I guess
I
where I
agree.
was going with that is I don't necessarily want to take from contingency and move to committed and committed to something that we're not even,
Well,
it's not even on the
So-
horizon for this budget year.
So the question
Well, you have to
is,
build.
Well, I mean.
if
you know
we
what I mean.
spend 30,000, we got 150,000 in contingency, and we spend 30,000, can we roll that 90,000 that's left into next year's contingency to buy the playground equipment
Well,
with?
that's basically what we did.
Yeah,
We
all
had
right, so
100
our
there.
rollover is not restricted.
Yeah,
at this
we
point.
had like $80,000 left over, roughly, whatever it was.
Okay.
That's why I was saying you could take 60,000 of that and know that, okay, we're spending it.
I mean, I
But
personally
I
think
don't
we
want to
should.
say that we're spending it on this because we don't know that that's what it's going to be
Correct.
spent on.
I'm with
I'm with
Michelle.
her as well, sorry, don't mean to call you her.
Right, so then you could just put it into
Yeah,
contingency,
that's right.
leave it at 100 grand or 150, whatever you decide.
Yeah,
And then if you decide to do it, you go forward. If you decide not to, then you don't.
And just to
And then money
confirm,
will just roll over.
just to confirm, what is the remainder of the budget that is in contingency now that we're about to have as surplus?
About $75,000.
It's about 70, let me pull that up. I don't have that.
It's about $75,000.
Let me do this really quick.
If you look on the sheet that's always put out there.
Hold on, I could tell you, I didn't print one for me, so hold on. You have 79,526 as of February 10th.
And that'll roll
And
over.
we still got 2 months to spend it.
Well, God forbid.
Not that you will.
I mean, right.
Not that you will.
So what if it's
We
6
have no unexpected.
Correct.
Yeah,
What
we
if
have no
it's 6
unplanned-
But
months?
God forbid there's a
What-
natural disaster.
Is this the only time that we can say we're gonna leave it in contingency or move it to committed, or do we have that ability to do it
No,
throughout
so
the
here's
year?
the thing, so, all right, I would say you keep it in contingency when you're doing the budget. If we're gonna do a committed fund, I would suggest that you guys put this on your radar for when we do the levy, because that's when you can actually set the monies aside for specific restricted items.
I like that idea.
Does that make sense?
that makes sense. So the next time we do the levy will be next November.
It'll be in November, and so what I would do with your next levy, this is just a suggestion, you guys do what you wanna do, because I know the levy and budget are backwards.
Correct.
What I would do is when you're doing the levy, is you wanna make sure that you're covering whatever you're budgeting this year.
Okay.
That's just a thought to keep in your head for when November comes around. So instead of, since they do it backwards, why don't we just jump ahead of that?
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
It's just my thought process.
But at the same time, Joe, we only spent 24 grand, whatever it was. Why do we want to go to 150? We probably should go to $50,000 in contingency, because we already had 80,000 there.
I kinda like leaving the idea of the 150 in
If,
case
all right,
we
so
need
here's
to-
the thing, so if, say you guys
Commit it.
decide that in the next budget year you wanna do this, whether it's spring next year or this year, whatever, if it is not budgeted, you cannot do it.
Well, I understand it. I'm all in trying to save taxpayers' money, so I would like to lower that to 50 grand, because we already have 80 there. That gives us $120,000. That's just my opinion, there's.
Right, but
How
you
is
would
that-
have to show it in the budget
Because we already have 80
somewhere.
there.
How is that saving taxpayers' money?
Because we're not going to commit to spending $50,000 on something we don't know if we're going to buy yet.
You're not
But the
committing
money,
to
That's why it's
it.
not
we already have the money.
Well, that's why I'm saying we already have $80,000 sitting there.
Correct, but you're still gonna have to ask
So-
for
But this
money.
150, John, would be, because we're setting the budget, this 150 would be lower if we didn't say, hey, let's take the remainder of the funds and earmark them to go into the contingency fund, right?
Correct.
So-
Then she'd have to put it we'd have to put it someplace
So
else.
50, so on the one sheet where it shows 100, and then the other sheet where it shows 150, that 50,000 gain is coming from the surplus that's coming from the last contingency fund that still has a balance to roll
But
forward.
the same thing last year and the year before. We've always kept the contingency at 100 grand. It's nothing new.
But if you lower it to 50, then that
Well,
50
let's go
has
back
to
5
be,
years.
that 50 has to be budgeted someplace else in here.
Go back 5
Yeah,
years.
so which line item do you want to put the money on, I guess is the question, if it's not in contingency.
Right, if it's not in contingency, you can put it
gotta go
wherever you
somewhere.
want.
I mean, I don't have a problem with contingency. I mean, that's.
I think the question was more, do we increase the outlay for the parks and decrease contingency, or flip-flop, right? That's like, really.
No, it's two different, it's two
Yeah,
different.
it's
It
two
was-
different
it
things.
It's two
is-
different
it's either
things.
leave it or move it to
The
committed
capital outlay
funds.
for parks is not to do with,
That's not part of the contingency, no.
but it's not to do with the playground equipment?
No, committed
No,
funds.
Well,
it's
see,
committed
I
funds.
did not
It's committed
put-
funds is the difference.
Right, so I did not put that playground equipment money into the parks capital because it is not determined yet what we're gonna go with and how we're gonna go forward with it. So I was just saying we put it in town contingency, because it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We could just say, hey, we're gonna budget, you got this much money and you guys do it however you want to do it, divvy it up
I mean,
between departments.
John, you talked a lot about, late last year about, hey, the last thing we'd want to do is have the playground equipment be unsafe.
I agree with that. We don't want it
So
unsafe.
we have the money. It's
Not necessarily.
Yes, we do.
We have the money in the budget from this current year that's rolling to next year. We saved it. We didn't spend it on anything this year. We could theoretically spend it on anything we want next year. Follow me?
Correct.
Okay. We know the playground equipment is potentially not up to par or not safe.
Yes, I agree with that.
We have the, even if we budget this differently, it's not, if we don't have to raise the levy, we're saving taxpayer money. Would you say that that's a fair assessment?
That's where you're
Correct.
saving the
Okay,
money.
so if we have the money in our pocket now, it's just choosing which pocket it's in, and we
You
can
don't
take
know
that money.
You don't know
We
that.
have the, as long as nothing happens, this budget on the left, this
This is all
year-to-date,
projected money. We don't know if we're gonna get this money.
we have it already, it's
No,
from
we
this
do
year.
not. This budget, what we're doing now, is based on money we're gonna get. We don't know if we're gonna get all the money we asked for. We don't know that.
What I'm saying is, we have roughly $80,000 right now.
Correct.
This year-to-date performance says it's for 11 months, ended February 28th. So from from March 1st, for one more month, in 1 month, this budget will be done. This year-to-date performance.
Dan, I understand what you're saying, but you're not understanding for me is that this revenue that we're expected, that's projected. We don't know if we're gonna get that yet. We didn't get all the money we asked for last year, we didn't get it.
What percentage?
What's the numbers, Deb, up there?
We didn't get 1,500.
That's a lot more than that.
No, it's not.
1,000.
No.
John, you're talking about in
No.
property tax revenue?
Correct. Property tax revenue is exactly
The
what I'm talking
property
about.
tax revenue was 1349,989.
What page you on?
You have to go to this one, John.
And we got 1348,
Okay, I'm looking at this
294.
Right.
So it's $1,500 on
$1,500
13
less
million.
than what we
Or
actually
I'm sorry,
levied
1.3
for.
million. So we essentially, we're whole. We missed out on $1,500.
I'm not concerned about the $1,500.
So all
That's all
my
the
point,
difference was, John, that we didn't get on what we levied for.
all
Either
my,
way,
yeah,
look,
all
there's
my
five
point
of
was.
us. I'm just giving you my opinion.
No, I'm just trying to give you mine. So my point was that you mentioned raise the levy for, or earmarking the levy money for the playgrounds, right? We have the money that we've essentially saved in a couple of years
Correct.
that could be earmarked towards that now. The question is, do we leave it in?
No, for me, that's not the question. The question I have is I want to keep contingency at 100,000 instead of raising it to 150.
And then where do you put the other
playground
50?
equipment?
Where do you want to put the other 50,000?
I don't want to put that, we should just keep it 100 grand. That's what I'm saying. Why raise it to 150?
Because both sides of the equation have to match. We have the money now versus what we're projecting. We've collected all but $1,500, so it's not like we're gonna not collect
Believe me, I understand what
40,000.
you're saying, I'm totally with you. Where do I find what we request for contingency in past years on your pages here? What page? I don't disagree with what you're saying, Adam. That's
I think
not-
what Debbie was saying was we know that expense is coming up, which is why it sounds like the
Go to
increase.
page 3, John, I believe. No,
4?
page 4. Page 4 at the bottom. So prior years, we've done 23,000
Spent.
spent.
This is
Correct.
not
Not what
budget.
we requested. We've
we
spent
spent.
23,000, 50,000, 103,000, and 20,000
Correct.
so far.
So, do you remember why we spent that 103 the year before?
I can't tell you, I remember, but let me look it up for you.
Thank you.
21, 22 is,
It would have been the year before last. That could have been when we had to replace,
servers.
it could have been the servers or the,
IT would definitely bring that up a lot.
right, it might have been the
Oh, yeah.
IT.
That's easy money.
It's 2020 or
actually was
2021.
It says.
No, it's 2020, hold on.
Yeah. Take your time, we got no, we're not.
All right, so just holistically, back to what I was saying, if you look at the sheet for this year, the expenses plus the ending balance must equal the total revenue that is anticipated to come in.
I understand that.
So if you want to true down the contingency to 100 instead of
I'm not
150,
chewing it down. We were at $100,000. It's not chewing it down. They're asking for 150. They're asking for 150.
At
Correct.
the end, you have to end up
Well, we've
at
always been
but
at
at the end of the
100.
day, the difference is going to be, if you don't place it in one of these specific line items, then that money is just going to be shown as the
But we
ending
don't have to ask
balance.
for the 150. We ask for the 100.
You're missing what I'm saying.
No, you're missing what I'm saying. We don't have to ask for 150 grand.
Then where does the money go?
We
for
don't,
expenses?
you keep it at 100 grand. That's part of their budget, or our budget, I should say. We've kept it at 100 grand for a gazillion
So
years.
what we're asking for is the availability of that
Correct.
$50,000.
They want 50,000 more dollars.
Correct.
But it's,
Then there's actually,
but if it
For
doesn't
the-
get applied to the
for-
budget,
right.
and we don't give the extra 50,000.
and I'm saying don't ask for the 150, I'm saying ask for the 100. Again, that's just my opinion.
Okay, so,
So-
yes, it was for servers.
Okay, so I figured.
So I think is, we're asking for the 150 to be in contingencies, is that if we're able to get an RFI and go out for quote, come up with a park plan to replace that, and we can spend it in this budget, the money's available. If you take that $50,000 and move it outside of the budget into,
Unused
General
ending
fund.
balance.
funds, you can't do the park this year.
Correct.
You're
So
gonna
what
have to
I'm
do it
saying
next
is if
year.
you look at the ending balance on the two sheets, the ending balance on the one with the increased contingency, ending balance is 937,000. The ending balance of the one without the increased contingency is 1,033,000.
Yeah, but that's.
So there's a couple other changes, but at the end of the day, the choice of what you're recommending will do nothing to save the taxpayers' money, aside from,
Sure it will.
it will not. It's just,
It'll put
it's
the
just
money in our
determining.
reserves.
Okay, so it's in reserves, but
Well, they recommend we have, what, 6-month reserve? How many months they recommend? 6 months? We're not there
We
yet.
can legally have up to 2.5.
We
Well,
would
I
be-
get that, and that's why we should put that money in
Right, I did
reserves.
put that
This
out
tells
there,
us what-
because you guys
this tells
have
us
not
with that, we're gonna be
determined what you
5.5
want for
months.
reserves.
5.5 months,
It's all projected.
if we get what we got.
Again, I'm just giving my
honestly.
opinion. You guys want to raise it to 150, go for it. I'm just.
If we
look,
don't-
I'm one of 4.
if we don't,
I'm not
then the
afraid to
park
be
becomes an
outvoted,
issue.
okay, I'm not.
If the park becomes an issue, we won't be able to do it. And then it's like, then we're going out to the levy and saying, hey, we need to earmark money for this.
Do you know how
which
many
is,
years they saved money to build this building?
I'm sure a long time.
It's the same, exactly, it's the same process.
Correct. So, all I'm saying
Times are
is-
tough. I'd rather keep our costs as low as we can, period.
Okay.
Again, it's just my opinion, guys. I'm
I
not.
hear you. And all I'm saying is, it's not changing the ending balance by a lot, and we have the ability to use the funds or not use the funds.
We didn't even get to the rest of the budget yet, okay? We're just talking about contingency now.
Correct.
Now let's table contingency and move on to the next page.
This is our
You
first
guys
budget
wanna-
here.
Sorry, Gary.
No, you're fine.
No, this
This
is
is what we
exactly what we
want.
should be doing.
This is exactly what we want.
Right, I mean, again,
Good,
All right,
good
so now you
progress.
guys both said your opinion.
But we have to, hang on, there is a true-up mechanism too, because we have to approve something that large coming out. So if it's in contingency, it can't be spent without our approval, correct?
I'm saying don't raise contingency under 50 grand. It's as simple as it is for me. Whether you
Okay.
want to do what the money is besides the point.
Correct.
We might be able to get grants to build the playground
But if we,
equipment, dude.
and if
Which is
that's
why
the
it's
case,
not committed.
and if that's the case, we get to the end of the year like we did this year, where we have a
That's why you don't
surplus of
want to
80,000.
Exactly, that's why you don't want to
Again,
commit, because you
commitment's a
don't know
different
what's no
argument.
matter
All
what
right,
you
we're
want.
not getting
Yeah,
anywhere.
I'm
Why don't
not
we go
talking,
ahead and
yeah, I'm not
move on
talking
to
about
the
where to
next-
committee the funds. I'm talking about the total dollar. That's all I'm
Right.
talking about.
Every month when we have our meeting, we have a line item, or a line which is fund transfer.
Correct.
At that point, can we take it out of
No.
reserves and no?
No.
All right.
No, that fund transfer line item is if something was to come up and we needed to transfer. So that would be if the town needs to transfer money to GA because GA is run out of money or something like that. Or at the end of the year, we do what is a line item transfer, and you can only transfer 10% per line item for an item that is over budget. And I only do those
Balance
once a
budget.
year. We do not do them on a monthly basis. Because it's just, I rather have a better feel for when I'm doing the budgeting, how much I'm negative
You
on
were
a line
going, like,
item
could we
throughout
transfer the
the
money?
year.
For me, the debate is not what we do with the money. To me, it's just a dollar amount of contingency. That's all simple it is for me.
But what Debbie is saying is, if we had if we had to come out of pocket, no grants, I'm not saying it's gonna happen. If we had to come out of pocket, we decide in June, hey, we wanna put the park in, right? If it's not in some line item here, even if we think we're gonna end up with that money still at the end of the year, we can't do it.
You could,
Worst
there
case
is one way you
Yeah, you
could
could
do it.
do it.
Yeah,
There is
worst-
only one way. You would have to go back through this whole process, amend your budget, and do
Yeah.
another budget and appropriation hearing.
Right.
Otherwise, we approve the money to be in the contingent, just hear
And
me
it
out.
just rolls
You
over.
guys
It goes
can
in
vote
contingent.
for it. I'm just telling you, I'm not gonna vote for it. I'm not trying to be hard ass.
No, I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah.
So if we put the money in contingency, do we or do we not have to approve it being spent?
Look, I'm not gonna tell the public I'm raising my contingency just because we want to do a playground equipment. For me, that's not a good enough freaking reason.
But we have the money, it's rolling over, that's
You
what I'm saying.
don't have the money. You're creating the money is what you're doing. You're asking for
We're
more money.
earmarking money that's left over.
No, you're asking
to-
for 150 grand, we normally ask for 100. That's, you're asking for more money is what you're doing.
If I have 10,000 in my savings account,
And you're asking.
and
to
I
do
move it to
additional
my
50.
other savings
No,
account that I can
that's-
use
no,
now
that's no.
versus use
Adam,
last year's,
that's- no,
same savings
that's-
account.
They're asking for $150,000 of contingency. It's always been 100 for the most part. They're
And my
simply
question to
asking
you is,
for-
can it be used without our approval? For
Well,
large,
that's a discussion for a whole nother, that's a whole nother discussion.
but I don't think it is.
What's
No,
your
nobody
question?
can spend
No.
without a
We
board
can't spend
approval.
anything over $20,000 without your
It
approval.
has to go out to bid.
Right.
Yeah, it has to go out to bid and your
Correct, so
approval.
even if we left it in contingency and you didn't agree with it, like then we can't spend it theoretically, right?
We're having two different debates.
No.
My debate is simply, I don't want to raise it to 150 grand. That's how simple it is for me. It's whether we spend the money is not the topic.
And
Okay, you guys
yeah.
have already decided that. You're just
Well,
gonna
we
go
haven't
back
voted on
and
it, but we
forth.
could talk about it.
Well, I mean, you have two different
Right.
viewpoints of
I
it.
don't, again, 3-1, I don't mind. I'm just giving you
Well,
my
right.
opinion.
I'm just trying to understand your point, and I'm just asking you to
The
understand mine.
playground equipment for me is not, it's important, but it's not important enough to me to raise taxpayers' money over.
We're not raising.
You don't know that
taxpayers.
down the road, do you? Next year, we're gonna ask for tax increase? We don't know that yet.
But whether we did or didn't, this isn't.
If you overspend here, next year, you're gonna ask for a tax increase, are you not? If we don't have the money?
Again, earmarking it is not spending it.
We're not earmarking it.
We're saying put
Oh,
it
for
in
contingency, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
versus just untapped, if you will.
Again, I'd like to keep it
So
level. with 100.
earmarking your funds gives you less flexibility.
Correct, I'm not saying we need to earmark it.
So-
He's calling it earmark it. It's not earmark it.
It's not.
It's
Something-
contingency.
I'm not saying committed, but I'm saying
Yeah, right.
make it
He's saying
available
put
in the
in,
event
making
that.
it available.
I don't have a
in
problem with contingency, it's not,
You want
it's,
the most flexible way to spend the money with the agreement that the money's gonna be spent on park equipment. That's the goal, I believe, that I'm hearing here. It's that, from a budgetary standpoint, when you don't put the $50,000 in contingency, you now have less flexibility to pull the trigger on.
we haven't got no bids yet for park equipment, so why do we want to start
Correct.
putting money in a fund we don't even know what it's gonna cost
Okay,
us?
let's just throw out the idea that it's not the park equipment. Just to
Okay.
get that out of your head.
Okay,
So now we have a contingency of 150, you take it down to 100, you have to put 50, they're budgeting, so you're gonna take this number down from,
150 to,
yeah, so the 1.863
1.1.
to,
937 is going to become 987, 380 ending balance.
correct, and we just started, this is the first page. We don't know what else we're looking at yet, okay?
This is the cover
This is
sheet
the
for,
cover sheet.
for
Everything else
Michelle.
is
These
fine.
numbers,
I
the
understand
breakdown is broken up behind here.
Yes, I understand that.
So if you guys decide on these numbers, we don't even have to go any further.
Well, that's why I'm starting this, sorry, not starting
I
this,
guess
my
that's what
discussion
the
now.
misunderstanding or the not understanding is. So all of these numbers is what's figured in the rest of the package. So you've already line item budgeted everything, okay.
Correct.
So that 150 is already line item budgeted in the rest of this budget package back here. So if you change this 150, you have to decide where the other is going to fit. Is-
No, it has nothing to do with Glendale's. That's a separate line
Yes, this
item.
is the entire package and that money is figured.
Contingency is a separate line item, does not affect anything else on any of these pages. But one page,
Correct.
Okay.
but one page. Nothing else.
Yeah, so there's not
Doesn't affect
several
nothing else.
line items that make up that $150,000.
No, it's just one line
It's
item.
one line item.
Because
So
leaving
if
it
you
as
take
a
that one
single
line
line
item and
item
change it,
leaves
then
the
that
money
50 just
to-
disappears.
It
and
disappears,
goes-
and
Most
rest of 100
flexible.
instead of 150.
Right, it just stays in the general fund.
Right, that's all.
So it doesn't
Okay.
go away, it stays in the general fund, she just
Correct,
said.
correct.
So we're not asking taxpayers for the money. It just stays in
If
the
you ask for
general fund.
150, you are.
Nope.
Nope.
No.
You
I'm
will
asking-
next year.
I-
You will next year. I
I
can guarantee you there's gonna be a tax
Okay.
increase next year, but all right.
I'm sure there is.
All right.
because
When
the
I'm trying to
economy
avoid
sucks.
Well, we decided not to do the increase this year.
And I'm
because
trying to avoid doing it next
the-
year too.
Well, even the small increase wouldn't have amounted to be substantial.
For a
anyways.
household might be $10 a household, I get the dollar amount. It's about the township not raising taxes for me. That's all, that's how simple it is for
Nobody
me.
wants to raise taxes.
And that's
if
my
we
point,
can
we gotta start
avoid it.
making them dime in it, so next year we're gonna ask for tax increases.
So, okay, never mind.
Let's go on to
I'm
the next
looking ahead.
page. I'm trying to look ahead. Let's go to the next page.
Before we go to the next page, does anybody have any other questions on any of these other line items that are, or do you want to go to the individual?
Well, parks, but we'll get there later.
I would just take them in order and go through the individual.
Okay, sure. All right, do you guys need me to go over the revenue that is estimated for the coming year?
Right.
Okay, so your first line item is the property taxes, that's based on the levy from December. Illinois replacement tax, we brought in 4,400 so far, 44,000 I mean, and I'm estimating 40. I like to keep it a little less, I'd rather have more money come in than,
Is there a reason,
I'd rather under budget on revenue.
Then over.
is there a reason it went up to 40 grand from 31, do you know?
State, I don't know,
So we don't know if that's gonna go down either, we're just guessing at 40 grand.
correct. It's never gone down, it's always gone up, so.
Well, we've gone from 14 to 30 to 40.
But the state could defunct. That security rental is a non-income.
It's a pass-through. We
Right,
get it,
it's-
Correct, it goes
we get
right-
it, and then it goes right back out.
Right.
Right, you'll see it coming out on the parks payroll. Why we have to do that, the accounting said we did, so we're doing it. Athletic fees, you'll see that it's increased. I only.
We actually collected that money.
Pardon me?
We actually collected that money.
The 80.
$8,885.
Yeah, we've collected 88, and actually it may have gone up.
Are any of the groups leaving the township through or wherever?
Pardon me?
Well, the football group said that they were building a field, right? When
Right,
they
that's
came
why I'm
across
asking the
this.
question.
No, the McHenry
But they said they were
Warriors are
leaving.
not leaving. The high school put turf field in McCracken Field. Our speculation is that at some point, they'll go over there, but they gave us their commitment that they want to stay here with the township because this is their home
It's their
field.
home.
But as long as we didn't raise their,
And we have no
Rates,
intention
correct.
of raising their.
No, that was
Sorry.
the youth group, I think, we were talking about. Remember they came in, that one, I forget what they were called.
It was
The
it was a
McHenry
football.
Junior
Warriors.
Junior Warriors, yeah, my bad.
That's
yeah.
the football.
they were asking not to, they were asking us to adhere to the current
Right.
rates.
And I
don't
think we
think we
agreed
did.
that we were
Yeah.
adhering to the current.
Right.
Okay, so the athletic fees have gone up. I still am under budgeting at 8,000. I don't know, how much more it may go up. Senior service rent is 9,600. Food pantry is 12. We have those agreements with them. It is covering, so we're good.
We're gonna redo that
No.
agreement when they build it, correct?
Yeah, we'll assess their, we have a 3-year agreement. We'll assess the electrical bills, and then at the time of the new agreement, if it's,
Well, if they add on to the building, that changes the agreement, in my mind.
No.
Well, why wouldn't it?
Especially because they asked us for permission to
Yeah.
add on. I mean,
They're gonna add on their building, they know they're gonna add on.
yeah, but I think if
Correct.
we gave them permission,
We
then they
gave them
probably
permission to
assumed-
do that, it's our building.
Okay?
We
already
will
part of
own the
you.
addition when it's done.
We own the building already, but okay.
Correct.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, town hall rentals, I estimated 12. Rec center, I did do an increase on that because we are starting to rent that out now.
That's good to hear.
Whispering Hills, I did 9,000 based on what we brought in so far. Senior bus fares, based it on what we brought in so far. Senior grants, I only put in the CDBG, which we're already getting. We are applying for the Northeastern Illinois on Aging. I don't know how much that grant is. I believe we're gonna be asking for 30, but I don't know if we'll even get it or not. Letter of intents don't go out until March. Bus vouchers, I just based it on what we brought in so far. Interest income is finally coming back up. As you can see, we only had 1,500 last year. This year we have 18,000. I did put in 15 this year, hoping that the interest the rates stay, we're good.
If this is interest on our available total town balance, like with the bank?
Yes, this is our banking interest on CDs that we have. We have the 2 CDs. We actually have 3 CDs and a money market.
When, and I don't know if this is now discussion or some other time of discussion, but when was the last time those rolled or were renewed, or is that information available?
Gary just did it, I
Just
think.
did them.
Yeah, we just
when
did
I
them.
started.
And there's another one that will be coming up, I believe, in June.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gary just did
We
it.
can
I think
get the- we
June
can get
is
the
the
dates
next
for you.
time
Yeah,
another
because
one goes up.
that one you could safely assume is gonna be substantially higher than what Gary did last year.
You would think, yes.
Yeah.
One would think. One will hope.
You know, I hate to change the subject, but maybe we should go to parks because Eric is here.
And let them go home.
Yeah.
We could do that.
Yeah, I
As soon
just
as they're
thought
done
of
with revenue, we'll go to parks first.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. And then other revenues, I just put $100 in there, it could be anything, you never know. Any questions on the revenue page?
Are we allowed to do anything other than the CDs with the funds, or does it have to be CDs and savings?
We have an
because it's
investment
municipal funds?
policy and it is restricted for government public funds. Gary is working on that.
Okay.
Right
Gary
now,
has to
our
ask for
money's
approval
tied,
before
we
he moves
can't
money.
do too much with it. You can't just go and invest it however you want.
Can't put it in the stock market.
No, you can't do that.
Yeah, I'll get you a
There-
copy of that.
Well, yeah, I will, want to make a note of that?
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions on the revenue? No questions?
That's right.
All right, let's
We
go
love you
to
for it.
page 8.
Parks and facilities?
Thank you. All right, page 8. All right, we have our salaries, security, that's that in and out. You'll see that
Right,
it's
the
over
$4 grand.
and under on all of them. Overtime.
Why
Why is
such a
that so
jump?
significantly higher?
Yeah, why a
The
jump?
overtime is going to be higher, but it also is, hold on, where's that sheet? Oh, I gave you that.
It's a huge jump.
I should have made a copy of this.
That's a huge
Sorry, I keep pulling this from you. Okay, so what was budgeted? One page too far, hold on. All right, so the overtime is only a $2,000 jump, just so you know, from last year. The reason is depending upon, that's all based on snow removal and whatnot, depending upon when it snows. If it's on a weekend or we have events here and whatnot.
And we've gotten
Yeah, but
pretty
you're
lucky so
saying-
far this year because we have not had that much snow yet.
Right,
But it's
exactly. But
coming.
now, starting tomorrow or Thursday?
Thursday.
Thursday, and then all next week, they're,
Yeah.
I
Right.
get
We
that,
knew we
but,
were gonna get hit.
but you're going from 3,000 to 6,000 is what I'm looking at.
4,000 to 6,000.
Correct. You're right.
Yeah.
Correct, you're right.
yeah, it's a $2,000 increase.
Okay, well, why the increase?
We're just doing that based on the fact that we could have more.
Well, that'd be contingency money, wouldn't it?
No. No, not on it. Well, it could be. It could be.
Yeah,
So we
if
could
you had
read-
really
I
bad
could
snow
redo-
here,
The only, I like to just keep that extra in here because then I can figure out the taxes and everything else.
I like the idea of keeping
If
it
you throw it in
buffered.
contingency, then I gotta split it totally different. So it's only $2,000. I didn't think it was a big deal.
I wanted 52,000 now.
What was budgeted last year for salaries and for Social Security, Medicare, and unemployment?
144, 150,
I do budgets all day long.
I'm sure you do.
Yes, this is.
And then SS Med unemployed?
and then what did you want? The Social Security and Medicare, that's 1308.
So, can you talk a little bit about what the jump is there from last year to this year?
Our unemployment rate went up.
That's a significant increase.
Pardon me?
It seems like a significant increase.
It is a significant increase in our unemployment rate. Do you remember what Flo said it was?
I do not.
I will have to check with HR. I don't, yeah, but there was a significant increase, yes.
Okay. And then the jump in the actual base salaries, the extra
That's just
14,000.
bringing, we brought Eric on, if you remember, mid-year. He's training to take over Terry's position. That's just the difference.
So in subsequent years then, would it go down? Because
Correct.
there won't be the overlap?
Correct,
Okay.
yes.
It still seems like a lot. That's like a huge increase.
What's half of a person's salary
It's
for
a half
a
of a
year?
person's salary, that's all it is.
And then next year it would go back down to, well, depending on, well, raises and stuff,
Well, right.
mid-140s?
But yeah,
That
that's
would
all that
also,
is.
that would also increase the unemployment rate, wouldn't it? An extra person?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, no, I think, isn't the unemployment rate based on your claims? Isn't it
I
based on your
believe it
claims?
is
I don't know, I
based on
would have to
the-
talk, that's out of my,
It's an HR question.
And then I see, and I'm not trying to jump ahead, but health
Okay.
insurance and HRA. So previous years, it
Correct.
does not look like we had an HRA. So has something gone on with the health insurance where there was a change of plan where they're now offering a package that gives employees the HRA?
no. We've always had the HRA. The HRA is worst case scenario. So depending upon when any employee hits that mark, then the HRA kicks in. Sometimes you have good years where nobody's sick, then you have other years
Yeah.
where people are sick
So
or
we're
whatever.
anticipating a
and
lot
that's-
of people
Yeah,
sick
you
this year.
anticipate a lot of people to get, I mean, why 12.8, why so high?
So is the
I mean, he's right.
Does the HRA only kick in once someone's like hit their maximum deductible or something?
Correct,
in
and
this
then
case?
everything is covered 100%. Correct.
Okay.
But looking at
So-
the past expense, like Adam said.
Well, but the
But-
difference is people have been home for the most part for the last 3 years. Way
Not
less
township
likelihood of
employees.
getting, well, I'm saying, but just way less likelihood of getting sick because not as many people are out and about.
It takes
But I
a
guess-
lot to meet the HRA, but you will notice that on the town, on our town side, it has gone up.
I think we should cut that in half, easy.
Well, where did that number come, where did that
You can't cut it in
anticipated
half
number come
because you
from?
are.
Is this what they're
if-
charging us? I'm asking a question.
Correct.
If they're charging us, then they're charging us that.
Right. So, but here's the thing, it only charges us if every single person hits their max.
Correct.
So that's why it's
So the
worst
reality, they're not
case.
charging that. You're saying they're gonna charge us.
Forecast.
What
If
you're-
that
you're
person
forecasting.
meets that, yes.
And that's not really,
So if you cut
You could
it,
forecast.
so if you cut it in half, and you do $6,200 or whatever that is, $6,400.
Yeah.
And we have a 12/8 experience,
Yeah.
then we need to find that other
that's
$6,800
contingency.
somewhere
That's
else in the
contingency
budget.
money. That's what contingency
So, okay, we
for.
just got back $6,800 in your contingency.
The 12.8, it was.
Sorry, Gary, I don't agree
That's
with
the
you.
way it works.
Was that number based on like what the health insurance company or health insurer is saying theoretically could be spent if every person maxed out, or how did that number get determined?
Flo, okay, no. So Flo knows what each person, whether
Is
it's a
eligible
family,
for.
employee,
HRA representative.
whatever the deductible is and
Yeah.
everything. So she takes each individual person and figures it out by department.
Okay.
Kev, if I understand these numbers correct, last year you budgeted $30,000 for HRA. Am I reading that right? It's on page 3 of this.
Okay, yes?
Budgeted 35. and we only spent 39
Wait a second, where are you reading this?
on your page, on this page.
The year-to-date budget?
Oh,
this
okay. So, HRA was 13,000
In parks.
for
No, you
property?
You're looking at assessor
Parks
personal
is
Oh, okay, what
13.
page is that on? That's okay, that's my difference. What page are you on there for parks?
Page 4.
Sorry, I'm not gonna be, man,
HRA was the annual budget 13,000,
we spent 251.
So it's actually a decrease
Correct.
from what? Yeah, okay.
so we're asking,
$200 decrease, okay. I get it.
so.
It's just, yeah, looking at the number as a standalone is kind of misleading, but.
Right, exactly.
I'm just looking at years past. Maybe I see the dollar amounts there.
The used.
To me, it's like you're sandbagging money in the
We just
budget.
get, it would just good to look
I
at
hate to
this
use that
too.
word, but that's the way I see it.
I mean, fortunately, they've only used $251.
Right, and I see what you're saying, because you're right. We're putting in the worst-case scenario
Right.
for whatever, so, yeah.
But that's what contingency's for, not budget.
Well, you budget for what could actually happen. That's
And
what you're
it's
supposed
not-
to be estimating.
I go back 10 years and I bet you've never hit that number.
Yeah, but would you want all of the possible contingencies from every
But that's what
possible
contingency's
budget?
for. That's what contingency's for.
And budgeting is for making sure that you budget and you figure this is exactly how much I'm gonna spend, so I don't have to touch my contingency.
But again, this would be 12 grand would be a contingency.
Just smart budget.
Okay,
I think it's crazy budget, but okay.
all right. Now we're at facility building maintenance. You guys can look at these numbers.
Can't wait.
Everything has been adjusted based on what has been spent. Some have been brought down, some have been brought up. So the only way you're gonna see that difference is if you look at what was budgeted prior year, which is not on here. I'm only showing you what was actually
I think
spent.
everything else looks fine, in my opinion.
All this is.
Yeah,
Okay.
in my opinion.
But does anybody else have any other questions? So like I've decreased most of the utilities.
Yeah, I see the decrease of the food pantry, but are we not anticipating the utilities will go up with their building addition? So last year it was 16,000, this year we're proposing 14,000.
New
Well,
contract.
all right, so part of the reason that all the utilities in every facility have gone down or whatever is Gary was able to get our
Lower rate.
utility contract back in place.
Okay.
It was not in place, so now we're paying the lesser rate.
So it's
So
contract.
I think we should be okay.
Okay.
That's where that difference is coming from.
Okay.
This one's a large.
Any other ones that you have questions on?
No, I think Parks is fine outside the HRA, but that's another discussion. Eric, does it satisfy you? You okay with that budget?
Eric's happy. right?
Yeah, I'm
I'm just asking.
Yeah.
He's gotta be happy with it, he's gotta live with it.
He's learning the whole process, so we would be
Yeah.
going through all these numbers and figuring it out, so,
I'm just happy to be here and see what's going on.
Correct, that's all good.
right, he's learning, and he's doing great. He's asking the right questions, making the right decisions. I think he's doing really well. Picking it up fairly quickly.
Not a problem.
All right, do you have any other questions on?
Oh, no, I'm good with parks and facilities, including
How
HRA.
about you, Adam?
What's the risk management insurance?
That is our Torma insurance.
Sitting next
That
to
is
him
split
instead.
out between all the departments, along with our EAP,
Like I
which
said,
is
it's
split
four of
out
us, you know, it's the process.
between all of our departments.
I can't be.
Okay.
I try to break it down as much as
I'm
possible.
not,
Yeah, gotcha.
it's pretty obvious.
No other questions on that section.
All right, very good. All right, then let's go back to page 2, and we're done with you.
Hang out, you're more than welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, if you want
But
to
if it's getting late,
and
don't-
watch
no.
the rest.
Whatever you guys want me to do.
No,
It's up to you.
No, it's up to you, Eric.
You can actually go.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for coming
Yeah.
out. I appreciate it. We'll see you in the morning, sir.
Yep. Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric, I appreciate you coming
That's
out.
fun.
Yep.
Congratulations on being able to leave.
Yeah, and, good job with the daughter-dad dance, too.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. I
Well
forgot
done.
about that.
Daddy-daughter dance, that's how it's supposed to
You
come.
were doing it.
Oh, Mchenry was it, their daughter.
Yeah,
Daddy daughter.
Is that what was
Okay.
going on at the school over the weekend that I saw, or there was
Most
a bunch
likely, yeah.
of traffic or something out in Johnsburg?
Well,
Yes.
Johnsburg
Yes.
is over in Ringwood typically.
Yeah.
And then McHenry got theirs.
That's a huge fucking. Yeah, I don't remember what night it was. We were coming back, and I came down, it was at Fairview, to turn right on Johnsburg Road, and I, like, up in front by where, I think, like, where the church is at. All of, what is that street that the bank and the new retirement place and the church are on?
Church Street.
Church Street?
Church Street.
That entire
yeah.
street was, like, backed up onto Johnsburg Road even.
So there must have been regional basketball game or dance or
cheerleaders
something.
won the state
The cheerleaders
championship.
won too.
Right, yeah, they won state.
I don't know what the junior high though. It depends on which side of the building you go to, which
Yeah.
school you did.
All right, you guys want to go back to page 3 to administration?
I'll just take a bio break.
It's page 3.
How much can we get through before John comes back?
So the highway commissioner take a cut in his salary?
Pardon me? No, he's agreed to.
No, that's half of his.
Yeah, he's agreed to pay half by
He has-
statute.
Did he agree?
Well, I don't know, but that's what we're
Okay,
budgeting.
so I budgeted,
Half.
I budgeted half, but it may go back to the full, I don't know.
Well, there goes his contingency.
I was not able to talk to Jim beforehand, so part of me being sick and then him being at meetings and
I haven't
whatnot.
been able to get to him.
But I did budget it for half, so it may be changed. And then if you have any questions, the same thing with the worst case scenario on HRA. We have that same thing. You will see that ours did go up quite a bit this year. I will tell you, I am one employee who made the mark with my lung surgery. So I hit the max for the first time ever.
Did she discuss that, right?
But
Health insurance?
Worst case
get
scenario,
into
HRA.
No, HRA.
Oh, I'm
That's,
sorry.
HRA is gonna be another one of those arguments or debates we had earlier. But on the health insurance, when we get that out for bid, or, I mean, I know there's only a
There's
limited number of
only-
companies that could give us insurance. I know
There's
that.
only 4 different companies, I think there is.
3 or 4.
There's either 3 or 4, and that'll come back up in May or June.
Yeah.
June, it renews June. He'll get information, and him and Flo will sit down with the broker to figure out what our best option is. We're very limited on the pool that we can go with.
Can we have them come in and give presentations to the board?
They've done that before.
I know. That's why I
Or
asked the question.
we've had a trustee just go on that meeting when they come in.
Have fun, John.
I ain't got a problem with it, I really don't. I mean, I'm retired after this week, so shit. I
Wait,
don't
what?
want to.
Wait, what?
What's going on?
I'm fine with my business.
You sold the business.
Yeah, I did.
Congrats.
Are these salaries correct, Ed? The 234,000, I missed that, I apologize.
Yes.
I'm fine with that. Gary's gotta do what he's gotta do to operate. That salary's a total different
Well,
bag.
then we're gonna add another person.
Okay, so can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
So, and I'm not trying to,
Careful.
not trying to poke a bear or like, just trying to understand. This is my first time
I
through this
understand.
with you guys.
That's why I'm taking the position I'm taking.
So the prior board did some damage when it comes to salaries and expectations for people.
Correct.
Is this the time where if we thought that a change was necessary to that, that we could make the proposal to change that? So for example, if we, I'm just,
No,
this is
no.
purely speculative.
No,
Like,
sure.
if we said like, Gary should be a full-time employee instead of a part-time employee.
That's
is this-
next year's
For the
debate.
elected
the form?
officials, that's next year.
That's year's debate.
Okay, so it has nothing to do with this budget.
Correct.
No, it's 180 days. You
Yes.
have to make that
Final
decision
decision.
prior.
Correct. To the
So you
next-
want to start
correct.
talking about it for your next budget for sure.
Correct, just to give
Next
ourselves a
level,
raise.
for sure.
Next levy.
Yeah.
So in November, when you're doing the
Correct.
levy,
Or
that's
like
when
the-
you're
Correct.
going to want to talk
Yeah,
about
like the
it.
assessor or any other elected official.
Yeah, we don't want to have that debate now.
Just asking, I didn't know.
Yeah, can you guys save that for November?
But whatever Gary needs as far as
Are you gonna
salaries, I'm
stick in
okay.
November?
Seriously.
Pardon me?
Whatever raise you need to give your people, give it to them. I mean, I'm not here to tell you how to pay your people.
It doesn't look like you're going for an increase at all, are you?
It was 3% across the board.
Right.
3%.
So some people will get the full 3, some will not,
Correct.
based on review.
Right. I mean, I don't have a problem if you want to raise it to 4, I'm just giving you my opinion. What's cost of living going up? It's huge.
9%.
CPI went up,
Yeah,
9,
they're huge. I mean, if you want to raise it, now's the time to say it, Gary.
don't have the money.
If you take it out of 50 grand out of contingency, you do.
So.
If you take 50 grand out of your HRA support, you do.
Okay, maybe let me ask it this way, because I'm going down the same path you are.
Okay, yeah.
Both of you, Gary and Debbie, are we at risk of losing any of our full-time employees if we were to not give a larger than 3% increase to
I think
anybody?
that's a question for the tax assessor.
Yeah, so from the, I can only speak respective
For
to our
our
office.
department.
We've got our team pretty well set. We've got 1 full-time, well, 3 full-time actually, and Debbie split amongst a couple different departments.
Yep.
And then we have Logan at the desk who's part-time. So we've chosen to hire part-timers without benefits because it's significantly less expensive to help reduce our department cost.
Correct,
Yeah.
but within your department, like I've heard that there's been some challenges as far as staffing has gone over the last couple of years.
Correct.
So
3%.
would a greater than 3% increase to any of their salary in the upcoming period help ensure that we don't maybe have turnover there where then there's the added expense of rehiring and retraining and going through all of that activity? Where maybe a small extra increase now would actually save costs on the back end of not having to retrain, rehire.
I think anything that the board is willing to give the employees, they would welcome, because when you look at,
Yeah.
when you look at apples to apples and the job that they're performing in government versus in the private sector,
Pay is less.
the pay is less. So, but,
Once you go up, you can't come back down.
yeah,
Once
correct.
you go up, you can't come back down. So if you decide now to raise it to 4% or 5% across the board, they're gonna expect 4 or 5% next year.
So if you do the town
The year
fund,
after.
That's,
You can't go back
how are you
down.
gonna, how is
I've done
everyone
it
else
many
paying?
times.
All right.
That's part of
I
it.
was
That's
just curious.
correct.
They've done it many times.
It's a good thought.
It's up to them.
It's something, honestly, in my own professional life I'm going through, as far as hiring and merit increases and the research I've done in my own corporate situation, is that, you know, my team specifically has lost a lot of people this year
Yeah.
as a result of not being competitive with other companies with the same role.
Right.
And so, yeah, I was just curious.
You know, and I'm not gonna go too much farther than this statement. I think there's some reasons why people come to local government to work. In our case, I think we have a good fit with our team and the reasons why they're here. The money's acceptable. 0 increase, they probably wouldn't stick around.
Yeah.
But 3%, they're new, and if they're in it for the long haul, the payoff's there. So that's
Okay.
kind of goes with that.
Again, I don't have a problem raising it, but again, there's 4 of us here.
Yeah, it's, you know,
I'm not saying 10%.
I say we go through it and
No, I'm saying
and
5,
have this
6%,
conversation
somewhere in
at the
there.
end.
I was gonna say 4, and I mean, like, and I don't know how you guys run it, you know, again, just myself personally, I'm going through merit increases, I have to do my annual performance reviews of my employees, and it's expected that there is variation based on your performance. I don't know how the performance review process works here, but if anybody was exemplary, for example, within our organization, they are able to earn a higher amount of merit increase than someone who maybe needed extra.
Your department was given a pool of money, I would assume, or were they not?
We're not.
Oh, okay.
It's just like,
So yours is run
What-
differently.
what is the performance?
Oh, okay.
What does the performance dictate as far as the increase?
Again, Gary, this is your option to ask for more money. I'm not saying you have to give everybody a 4% raise. We're just giving you an option. If you want to put it in the budget, it's there.
Understood.
You use it
Thank
the
you.
way you feel it needs to be used.
Yep, I
Yeah, I
appreciate
think
it.
this is an area that probably needs just needs focus after some of our predecessors.
Correct.
All right, Any other questions on the personnel part that I can answer?
I'm okay with the rest of it.
Yep, same.
All right,
No
let's
reason-
go down to the line items. I haven't really made any
You talking about contractual stuff, is what you're talking about?
contractual services.
Again, I don't have a problem with any of those, I don't know if everyone else does.
All right, I have made the adjustments that are necessary. You'll notice, like on the very first one, equipment maintenance, we've only spent $978. The dash is $3260 a year. That is our,
The
paperless
scanning
scanning
software.
program, software and everything. That gets paid in March, so that's why it doesn't show yet. So that's why I'm keeping it at the 46, just so you know. Because you're looking at it like, we've only spent $900. Well, that's because we haven't paid the 32.6 out yet. Pretty much everything else is, where it needs to be.
Would township newsletters fall into this section?
Yes,
Yes,
definitely.
yes.
So,
There's no money in
You'll
there.
see we have not done anything since before 2019, so there has not been any money allocated there.
yeah, we talked about that, so
Right.
I didn't see.
Right, I got 3 stars
I
next
was,
to it.
I saw
okay?
printing and I was looking at that.
Yeah,
but
I
not-
got 3 stars next to it, but it's, you know,
We specifically said we were gonna wait to talk about that. I feel like there are ways to do it very cost effectively with using social media and the
Correct.
website.
right.
The website is another thing that I think we need to talk about, but, should we put in any budget for that?
I mean, we would need to know what we need to budget to be able to budget it.
Correct.
I mean, it's pretty cheap to just print stuff and leave it in various places throughout the township.
They used to mail it.
Printing
They used to
is-
mail it. They used to mail it to all residents.
So you mail it, now you got postage, you got the printing, who's
Sandra-
gonna put it together? So are you paying somebody to?
Sandy
We need someone to
used
write
to put
it.
it together for free.
Right, we need
Are they
someone
still
to
gonna-
write it. You know.
Huh?
Didn't she put it together for free?
Who?
Who, what, Sandra Leone back in 2017?
not.
When I was here?
No,
No,
She paid for that.
I was wrong.
you were
Oh,
wrong.
we paid for
She
that.
was being
She
cheap.
paid for that, yeah.
She was very inexpensive.
Yeah, that's-
So it wasn't,
Expensive.
you weren't paying for, that's,
But we were paying for the printing and whatnot.
that adds up.
All
She'd go out and
was
take-
doing
she'd
was
go out and take
putting the
pictures.
content together.
yeah.
Then they send it over there, they would put the
Format.
newsletter together, format it, print it. Then they would bring it over to the post office and I would bring a check over there because we had a permit and all that.
So down the line, if we
But
decide,
if you wanted to do something cheaply for this coming year or whatever through the website and whatnot, that can be done.
I think a digital format would definitely be the better way to go at this
Yeah, no
point while
doubt.
we're starting out.
yeah,
Well,
But
I
it's
will-
accumulating the addresses,
Yeah.
it's the who's still going to put it together, who's going to send it, and who's getting paid to do that, because there's very few people that are, at this point, just gonna volunteer to do it.
we definitely need
Okay.
someone better to do it.
So,
Sounds like John's looking for some.
I think he is, because he just keeps talking over
I
it.
know a person to do it, but they're not friends of mine anymore, so someone else will have to approach them.
Dang. So yeah, I think we need
do a
some,
like a small newsletter on the website if you wanted to.
He's extremely good, the person I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
That could be done, it could be formatted,
It's gotta be
put
cheap.
together.
But
I
we get the
have
property
some,
taxes, don't we get people's email addresses? Like, people that pay electronic, well, I paid my property taxes electronically.
that's all done
To the
at the
county.
county.
and you need permission to get those
That's
done.
not done here. No, we don't have all of that.
so I
But
guess.
there's
the-
a way, you
On
have
the
to update.
website and on Facebook, we could technically do that.
Yeah, you have to ask for their, you know, hey, sign up for our newsletter, and then they're inputting their information, giving you permission to send them the
Correct.
documents, but, so there's, you know, that phase, but you can still do the digital newsletter, post
To
it.
the website.
On the website, Facebook,
Correct.
all the digital social medias, and, but again, it's, how much do we think it's going to cost to even start out?
Correct. So
And I'm not
we-
saying print anything.
No, I don't think we need to print either.
I would go the digital route first, and we may have an option there
You
in-house.
can do emails here possibly.
You're still printing then, and it costs money to
It's
print.
something we can look at for sure, and it would be at minimal cost just to see how it works out.
We'll certainly start collecting emails. And one of the other things that we can evaluate is, I know I'm too late for this budget, but like a Constant Contact or Survey Monkey or somebody like that, and send out a very generic, even a text blast that tells about what's going on monthly in the townships.
Right.
Or even if our goal is, let's start the digital newsletter quarterly this year and see where we get and start collecting all of this data, cell phone numbers and email addresses, explaining it in the future, we're building our communication tools. I got no problem with that.
So what do we think would be a good starting number to budget?
Yeah, that's the question. We put money in
I
our,
think we have I think we have the capabilities in our current staff to be able to collect email addresses and put it on
Put
the
something
website.
small together at no
Put something
cost.
small together. Yeah, we'll just do it internally. We just need to figure it out.
I like the no cost
We
bit.
probably can, yeah.
Yeah, I think we can.
Is that along the same lines of?
One of my new
possible
hires
new,
has some-
website admin that you were talking about?
Correct.
Yes,
Yes.
and he had his first test today, and it was awesome.
Passed with flying colors.
Yes, he passed with very.
he's a good kid.
But he's only
You guys remember
part-time?
No, he's
He's
full-time.
He's a good
Oh, I
kid.
thought-
I can call him a kid.
He's full-time, and he's doing a really good
Let me
job.
find it
Hopefully, I
offensive.
can keep him
I get it.
occupied enough to keep him on board. And
Yeah.
this would be another thing that I could throw his way, and that'd be fantastic.
I like the idea, I like the concept.
So is he gonna manage the Facebook page then, theoretically as
We haven't
well?
gotten that far yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't gone down there, but that
Yeah.
is, there are a lot of, yes, that's
Which
where
means that we can get
I
that
would like to
3,800
go.
back out of the budget and reallocate it later. Not this year.
So we're leaving internet zero for now? That's
What?
the question.
No, we were talking
No.
about
No,
township
Township newsletter, my bad. Township newsletter.
So what we'll say is that if Debbie finds some money that's specifically earmarked for the newsletter, it shouldn't be any more than $500 to $1,000 for the year in
Okay, so
expenses.
you want $1,000
But I don't even have, I don't even
That's
know
fair.
what does Survey Monkey cost? What is, how much is
I
that a
can-
year?
Here, I'll tell you that.
Again, Gary, this is the time, you want money in there to say,
It's
I mean,
not
I might
only,
have
it's
problem
not
with
only,
HRA
it's not
and
only
the other
money,
stuff. Not
it's
that.
resources on the back end.
Well, right, because,
That's the equation, is that you can give us $5,000, but if
and
you
then
don't have the
they get
resources
better,
on
I
the
can only
back
do so
end.
much in 24
So,
hours.
That's-
Survey
it's hard.
Monkey for the, like, as far as what they're advertising, the
Yeah.
top business plan
Yeah,
is 3 users with an annual bill at $75 a month. So,
so you're looking at under 900 a year.
Yeah, roughly.
Right,
just for that tool. There's another watered down version that's $25 a month. But like if you're just using that to try to gather email addresses and blast stuff out, like just, it's more like a survey type stuff. I mean, it seems like,
I'm just trying to think of how I got on. It's all about passing the word too. It's like Nixle, everybody's on Nixle typically. And then the Johnsburg one, I think you go to their homepage and you can sign up for their newsletter there. Mchenry, I believe, is the same thing.
I guess look at the website, see where because the functionality is there.
Yeah,
So you don't necessarily have to pay to get people's email addresses,
Correct.
but, definitely pay to blast them, because now they gave us permission.
correct. And then it's education. It's putting it on our Facebook page. And then hopefully that we can even get sophisticated and reach some younger folks by going to Instagram.
or TikTok.
Actually, Instagram automatically ties to Facebook, because they're
Right.
connected at Meta.
Correct.
So you post it in one place, it already goes to the
Yeah.
next.
So what do you think, Ryan?
What's that?
What do you
And
think?
Twitter too, you can, it's all-
I mean, we have no money earmarked for internet either, which I don't understand.
because we moved that up to,
Comcast?
where it says telephone and internet,
Oh, my bad.
yeah,
It's Jive and whatever it all is.
yeah. I'll clean up some of the stuff on that side.
Yeah,
I
Jive is-
didn't
Well, how
do
much
all
money
that.
should we put for a newsletter? I mean, we know what we're
What do you
using it
think, like
for.
1,500 bucks?
Yeah, $15 I think is fine.
All right,
Okay.
It's gotta come from somewhere else, but yeah.
Oh, it's a whole contingency you're talking about. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
okay.
Go for it.
Oh, boy.
Okay, that gets us started there. Everything else looks good.
Here's the newsletter.
Exactly.
Everything else looks good?
Everything else
said
looks good. Next.
All right, so then, are you guys okay to move on or no?
Yes, I am.
Wait, Adam's got questions.
I do, so the consulting service, $3,800 for Facebook.
That's the one we're.
That's not just Facebook.
Well, it says Facebook.
Well, that's because I always like to put that so I know what.
So is that our website consulting?
No, we
That's not
have, there's a service through a local provider called Think Big Global.
I'm
Right.
familiar.
And it's split between the three departments, between the road, the town, and the assessor.
And what do they do for us?
They do Mary, they do Assessor Live for Mary, and they post on Facebook for us. So what I'll do is I'll send her stuff that comes through to me that I feel is pertinent to the township, and I'll tell her to post it, and she'll post it.
She posted on Facebook.
Yes,
That's it.
pretty much.
And then the Assessor Live is a Facebook Live that Mary does, but is a tool that she herself could do on her own account.
Yeah, but she knows
Might
how,
wanna
a
ask
lot
her
of people
about
are IT. But what she was saying is that they may have an inside person that for next year, but for this year, it's not a sure thing. So this year we have.
Posting something on Facebook is not
It's so simple and you can.
difficult.
I know,
Correct.
and you can
No,
schedule
it's
them.
creating the
and-
graphics. Well, I want to see better graphics and better postings on our Facebook page and more
Correct.
information. That's where the expense is going to come in.
So the
More like-
$3,800
more like
expense
having a real
for
marketing
this
company.
portion, like, does that cover a certain amount of work, a certain number, is that for the whole year? Like, we can go
The whole
to
year.
an unlimited number of times if you guys went to her 15 times or
Ooh,
whoever
so
it
she
was?
can manage all of our township trustee Facebook pages and Instagram.
She'd probably increase her price.
Yeah, increase the price, you wouldn't.
Well, he
know
doesn't
about
have
it.
one, so we don't worry about that.
She
but-
would probably increase her price if we wanted to do that.
I'm just trying to understand like what that gets us, because
We're
it doesn't-
overpaying.
it doesn't sound like it gets us much,
We're overpaying.
respectfully.
Right.
I don't know if overpaying is the right word.
But the
For
value-
$376 that the town fund spends, for what the town spends, I don't think you can replace anybody for
Well,
that.
Gary, in my business, I can relate to my business, right? I was paying this person $1,000 a month, and she posted on my page, the business page,
Yep.
3 times a day sometimes. Now, I'm sure for the township, she might charge more.
$182, just so you know.
It's 382. that was all.
$182 a month is what we pay.
Oh, it's 376 total or whatever.
It's split by 3 different
Yeah,
departments.
I get that. And
Okay,
that's what I'm
so
saying.
the
It's
township
very
pays,
inexpensive.
yeah, the township pays $182 a month for that service. The consulting thing is more, we also have the grant writing and research and all that is in there also.
In that 3,800?
Yes.
Yes,
Oh, so that 3,800 is not specifically the budget.
it's not just Facebook.
That's
that
not
was just a
specifically what's
note
going
for
to
me.
think big, go local?
Think Big, Go Local does not do our grant work, no.
Are we paying this grant person per grant or
Hourly.
It's
hourly?
It's
So do we have
based,
a max that we pay her per grant or something? I'm just asking, I'm not trying to tell you about it.
No.
I'm
no, we're
asking.
just, no.
Do we have the breakdown of that 3,800 anywhere?
What was it?
The breakdown of that is, so 860 so far has been the grant, and the rest would be the Think Big, Go Local.
Almost 3,000.
So that is 182. Some work here, hold on. I didn't bring the, I should have brought that in. So 2,100, 2,184, 2,200 for the year for Think Big, Go Local.
For 3 departments or for specifically?
That's just for our department.
And is it the same amount for the other 2 departments?
Correct.
Okay,
It's
so
$547 a month, and it's split between all 3
If you're elected, you don't get it.
departments.
Okay.
I think that's just kidding us.
So Mary and the road district. So like Adam will send videos or whatever, that's what gets posted up there, blurbs about whatever.
I'm okay with the rest, I'm just, it came up with another question, but continue the conversation.
be preferable if you guys could handle that in-house, because it seems like the value is not necessarily there for what's being spent.
That
That's just
will,
my opinion.
I am looking at that.
100%.
Yes, we are looking at that.
But I also, what
But we
I-
also have to see how that affects the other two departments too.
Correct. So what we also need to do is glean the data from it and understand if it's actually a useful tool or not. Period.
Yeah, is it bringing any ROI, or is
Correct.
it just?
Well, and that's the other thing is that lately I've been bombarded by all these companies that say, you know, for a fee, you know, they'll teach you how to communicate to your constituency. So that's the next step that I'm thinking about is how do we communicate with them and how do we communicate most effectively? By just changing Facebook pages and web pages, I don't think it's gonna, we have to understand the data behind it. That's where, and I'm not talking about, I don't wanna hire a full-blown marketing company to run our website because we can't afford it. But what I'd really like to do is find somebody that's good at it, who is willing to sit down with me and teach me how to glean the data out of it so I can get it. So that one supplier that we're talking about, I asked for the data, she sent me the login information.
It's not,
Not what I asked for.
not conducive of learning things.
Correct.
So, yeah,
So basically through this year, we're starting with budgeting for 3,800, thinking we're gonna think big for the rest of the year.
but we don't necessarily, yeah.
In hope,
I know.
we get it inside and that
Right.
ends up on the next budget where it's gone.
Right.
But it's not gone yet and it's not
So-
going on in the next,
So I would
No,
also.
I'm not that bad.
well, I mean, if this has to be approved by what? Next meeting, right?
No, we got that.
No, we got that
When
time.
does the budget have to
This doesn't have to be
We
approved
could wait till
until
August if you
June.
wanted to.
be?
April, or May is or was it April? We typically like to have it
We like
done,
to
but we
have it
have
done.
May as a
So-
buffer,
Right.
Okay.
The old board was much better.
so we don't have to call a special meeting.
Correct.
I would- yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
You know, I do have one more question that just came to mind. I just spotted this. HRA elected, there's nothing there. Danielle is not part of that? She's elected.
No,
Like the name is Danielle.
no benefits,
There's no benefits there.
and she's not purchasing them on her own.
Okay, that's why I'm asking,
Yeah.
because there's money in there before, so that must have been the old supervisors, what we're saying.
No, there's,
No, I think that was,
was in the town?
That's elected.
yeah,
so-
there was
Yes,
something
what-
left over, I think from Mary's or something, because her budget runs different.
This is under
Or her
administration,
cycle.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's under administration.
Because it's an elected official, it comes out of elected official HRA, not the.
But doesn't Mary doesn't have her own,
She has her own for her staff,
but not elected.
not for elected.
Okay.
She's an elected
We'll see,
official.
then we get there, I get that,
I
but there's
think that
nothing there.
$200
That's why
was
I-
from that.
Okay.
I'm not gonna swear by it.
so our term began in May, I believe it was. Hers didn't end until that January.
Correct,
So that's probably what you're seeing, well, some previous years.
right. That's fine.
All right, any other questions on page 3?
Anything in here about or does it need to go in there about the bus routing software, or is that somewhere
That
else?
is, that'll be the next
That's
section
senior.
we'll go to.
Yeah, that's the next one.
When you say next section, page 5? Because it's in the.
We
bus
okay, any
fund.
questions
Senior
on page
I
Express.
four?
lost track of where I'm
Page
at.
5, Senior Express.
But we okay with page 4?
Oh, yeah.
Hold on, yeah.
Well, we haven't gone through it yet.
Let's
but
go
just-
to page 4.
Page 3. we're
That's the
talking
rest of the town.
Correct.
about. Well, the bottom of page 3, I saw your software in the bottom of page 3, so I didn't know if that was related.
No, that's different. That's different, yes.
Nuance ordinance enforcement. That's a joke.
I did.
Nuisance, yeah.
I hope you did.
Kids being bad, and it's just
Somebody's
wrong.
gotta be watching.
Did pick up the dog crap.
All right, so, any questions on the page 4? Those are the directly funded.
Oh my god.
I do have a question, it just came up, sorry I'm laughing.
Oh.
We were talking about nuisance ordinance enforcement. Does that include someone that doesn't pick up their dog poop? Is that money in there?
No.
I think we need.
It's a new ordinance, we talk about finding people.
That's
just
not
brought
a
out that-
nuisance ordinance.
ability to bring dogs.
That's why I'm bringing it up now.
We don't have any police powers to enforce it. We have to contract with the county to
Okay.
do that. So it would be on their budget.
Where is that?
Through the intergovernmental
John, we
agreement.
could hire a police
I'm just
person
asking a question.
specifically to monitor the dog.
That's why
Well,
he's
it went,
Why do we, because we want to.
I
But no,
guess it
but
wasn't
the,
2,100 before.
All right, any other questions on,
Mosquito abatement, so it says that we did it a couple of years ago, we're not planning on doing it.
no, we are not. It's, so what, the history of that I'm aware of, and I can only speak to when I was on the previous board for a short period of time, and now, is that in talking with the gal who ran it, when I was there at the end of 2017,
It's $2,500.
the township used to pick up the entire cost. Now, there are ways that we could put mosquito abatement back in, but just talking to the gal the other week is that she's gone around the other municipalities. Money's tight everywhere, and because we used to pick it up in the past, they haven't budgeted for it. So there's really not a cohesive
I
plan
think that's-
between all of the different municipalities.
I just want to make sure.
Now, what she is willing to do is that, and I told her I'd call her back after this, is that if there were money set aside for mosquito abatement, I can go get we'll have to discuss it at the next meeting, but I have a quote to treat catch basins and things of that nature on township property. We could put that in, but she would have to go out and sell to the other communities that, you know, the township's gonna do X. Are you guys gonna do it, to try to make it a cohesive plan? And is there any value in that? I believe there is, even if we did our catch basins ourselves, but, that's the other thing. I believe Eric, he's gone, has his license.
Sorry.
So we can spray our properties,
Okay.
Right.
where, you know, our big properties, but,
he
you know.
does carry the license.
Yeah,
Perfect.
We'll have to keep
I was
that
only
up.
thinking like for the sports fields, like there's kids out there.
Yeah,
It'd be nice to make sure there's no mosquitoes there.
yeah.
some kind of treatment on the fields.
Yeah.
Special events, 2,500. That's fine. We probably need down the
Didn't you
road to
guys want,
discuss
wait a
it.
second, didn't you guys want subs and root beer or something for the next meeting?
Yeah, that's fine. If you
I
want to
know.
call that a special event, I'm okay with that.
Special events?
Look, we used to do Day in the Park years ago. And that was the way Donna had to get the word out to the community that we existed as a township. I'm just bringing it up for future discussion. We can't put it in this budget, obviously, but that just what came to mind was Day in the Park when I saw special events.
Oh, we can do it as a committed fund.
Well, we're gonna talk about the 50 grand in a second, but
So two things that I've committed to in the future going forward is two events for the seniors. One is St. Patrick's Day. We're going to ask the trustees to go down there and serve for them.
I gotta work.
And that's fine.
I'm just kidding.
Tired.
To serve them a meal, and then
nothing
the
wrong
other
with that.
one is Oktoberfest.
That's fine.
So we're going to try to reinstate those if there's money allows.
It's not a special event though.
It's not.
No.
What would you consider that?
Would you consider that?
That is a
Contingency.
senior program,
Oh, it's a senior program.
yes.
So we're on the wrong page to talk about that?
Nope.
But Day
it's
in the
already
Park
there.
is something we should talk about in the
Oh.
future. It just came to mind, Debbie knows we used to do Day in the Park.
It's on page 4.
It was very successful.
I thought.
Day in the Park was very successful when we were doing it.
How
Is
expensive was
that
it?
in conjunction with Touch a Truck?
No, Touch a Truck is the town, the road
It
district.
was a separate program.
It's
that we
total
did in the
separate
summer.
program.
Oh, okay.
We did Winterfest.
Correct, we did that too. That was the way that people knew we were a township.
That's before my time, so somebody would
A lot
have to send me
fewer
some
than you have now.
information on it.
That'd be good.
Yeah, a lot fewer than you have now.
Yeah,
Again, something we need to talk about
For my
that way.
Day in the Park, and what was the other one? Winter?
Winterfest.
Winterfest.
So you're gonna dig up some information and send it to us?
Well, I have an idea that I was floating in my head.
Okay.
but
Go ahead.
that's
Henry
funny.
County Historical, what is that specifically?
That is for our township residents to be able to go there to the museum, the kids, these schools
Gotcha.
within the township
Oh,
for
that's what
free.
special event is.
Do we know how many people actually use that?
Yes. I do get a thing from them every year.
Do you? Okay,
Yes, and it is utilized.
okay.
Yeah.
Now, does that include the Railroad Museum out there?
No.
That's 2 blocks
It's
away,
not
3
a-
blocks away?
It's not a, no.
You're not talking much, Mark.
He's a smart man.
Yep.
Listen,
Oh, he's going to. I guarantee you he's going to.
Exciting.
Yeah, I guarantee
I
you.
know.
That's
He's letting
right.
you get it
I
out.
guarantee you is.
All right.
So now this 50 grand contingency, that's part of the 150 he asked for earlier, correct? Or is this additional contingency money? On the
Do I
bottom
have
of
that
page 4.
backwards? Do I have that on
You
there?
have capital fund and contingency backwards.
Yeah.
on this.
I do, I have them backwards, don't I?
Okay,
Yep.
well, if it's,
I did it backwards. So,
Okay.
on this
That's what it
page here, it should be, the capital should be 50, or actually 20.
Please, if there's-
So make that 20, and then the contingency was the 150.
so it's the same, that's where the 150 came from on the cut.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I made a mistake there. I changed it on the front, I didn't change it on the back.
Good.
Thank you for catching that. All right, any more questions on admin?
Nope, good.
All right, let's go to the next page. That is Senior Express.
Pass me through.
Okay. Any questions? I don't even know what to say anymore.
We have to figure out a way to audit the whole system, and we're not gonna do it tonight, but I mean, as trustees, we need to figure out the ride with these buses for a couple of days to see what's really going on. I mean,
It's not
'cause
a bad idea.
I see drivers sitting, and Gary knows that, and it's just, we need to figure out a way to dispatch properly, I guess is the right word.
Which is what the.
Well, that I
which
think is
software
happening now
is.
with our new system. It's only been in operation 2 weeks. 2
a
weeks?
little over, yeah.
Is that why the dispatch is at 42? Is that what you're?
Yes.
calling
Would we
it?
better off, Gary, do like Richmond does? You do like a Myers Day on Mondays, Jewel on
Richmond's completely
Wednesdays.
different than what we do.
Well, I understand that, but do you think it'd be more effective for us if we did the grocery shopping on just these
Not the,
days?
not the people that we're doing services for.
I don't know if that's true. If we dedicated Monday, Tuesday for your shopping days, we might have fuller buses. And then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we're bringing them to doctors
Well,
and all
we're
this other
filling our
stuff.
buses now with the new dispatching.
So
I
we haven't
understand
heard about
that.
that, so maybe can you guys elaborate on like what the new system is and what's changed, what,
All right.
more
It's
information about that?
eliminated a full person, which I love. I no longer.
That's cool,
have
but
to
again, maybe we could be more effective as
so-
a word.
But if somebody has a doctor's appointment on Monday,
Yeah.
You're not
They
gonna
might-
take, you can't take away from that, no. But you can urge them to start making doctor's appointments on Wednesday,
Oh, no,
Thursday,
you
and
can't make
Fridays.
them, no.
No,
Seniors, you
no,
cannot
it
do, you're
doesn't
right.
work that
No, you're
way
right, you
with
can't do
seniors
that.
at
You
all.
can't do that, right.
Yeah.
And especially now, because doctors are so booked out so far. That's
Yeah,
been
they're
another
scheduling
problem.
8, 12 weeks
But that
ahead.
does not mean that we cannot take,
Multiple people on a single ride.
correct.
Correct, I
And
understand
we're already, we can do that.
But the
No, you could
hospitals are doing away with their buses.
They already did.
And they already did, so why
They
is
did
it up
for
to the
months.
township to pick up that?
The township is only picking up a portion of that.
Again, you know, I'm all for senior buses, you know I am. But it's just, I think we should be able to be a lot more efficient than we are.
Well, it sounds like,
Certainly,
it sounds like
That's
you're
what
getting,
we've been working
What we
on.
can do is we can schedule a tutorial or a review with our software provider using our data and showing you how we schedule our buses.
That'd be great.
Schedule
so
a
the last time we
demonstration.
talked about this, we didn't have anything in place, so can you guys talk about what's now in place, what's changed?
So I'll try to give it a whack here. What we've done is we have a software system where we've entered in all of our riders. They'll call up, they'll find the rider, they'll click it, and they'll put it on next day's schedule. Then when they load up next day's schedule, they press a button, and we have to know how many drivers we're gonna have that day available. They'll click the bus drivers that are available, and they'll load their buses. If only 2 buses have to go out, we've got 3 drivers available, only 2 buses are gonna go out. And what it does is it routes them using GPS mapping
This is
software.
what I asked, this is what I
Exactly.
like was recommending, like.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
uses
Exactly. It
GPS,
is
it uses
phenomenal.
GPS software to route these people. Now, there is, or could be in the middle of the day, or middle of their schedule, a 10-minute window, a 15-minute window, or even a 20-minute window, depending on peaks and valleys in our ridership, where the person may have to stop, the bus driver stops. The idea is, don't come back to the bus barn, stay on your route, stop, rest, relax, do whatever, and then start your route from there, because it's all been figured out.
Correct.
The most efficient way for them to do it.
Okay, so
I like
in that vein,
Right, that makes sense.
to your point, you get 30 people that need rides, it ends up 2 buses are going out. That can just grow with the number of people calling in. So if we had a
Correct.
sudden influx of people calling in, you would know the day before that you were short a bus, theoretically?
Yes, the day before at the 4:30, we'll know what the routes are gonna be for the next day.
And is that the reason for potentially mentioning that we may need a 4th bus as an extra in case?
We have already added the 4th bus.
That's it.
Okay.
So we
Backup
have
bus.
the extra in case a bus breaks down. We had that happen twice.
The park guys have driven the bus, correct?
Oh, yeah, park
But
out.
if we
yeah,
ended up
they-
with,
Park guys
if
go
we
out.
ended up with the need for 4 buses one day,
But we
we
had
could
that
accommodate that
happen.
much.
Yes, we
Oh,
could.
yeah.
Yes.
The park guys cover that.
And so.
But the software will show the historical routing, the number of riders.
Correct.
You can
There's
probably
all
get
sorts of
reports on it.
reporting that
Well,
we're starting to
we're
learn on
required to do
reporting.
reporting anyways
Okay.
for the
So
grant.
that's a huge, that is a
and for the
huge, that
case.
in and of itself is a huge improvement from where we were at 6 months
Yeah,
ago.
some right
Well,
now,
it's already eliminated a full-time position to somebody who can do it all within half hour.
yeah.
Which
Nice,
has freed up a ton of time.
So
I was gonna focus on other things.
Correct.
is there any, John is all about bringing money in. So I'm about the same
I'm
thing.
not going there.
I'm just, no, it's,
No, go.
is there, you know, there was the conversation that came up before about members of the community think that potentially the bus service could be used for people that are not a senior or not disabled. Would extra ridership at a higher unsubsidized fee allow the bus service program in and of itself to make more money and be more self-sustaining?
I don't know if that would apply because we get the grants.
That was the
But
same
that's
thing.
okay. The township can make that decision using their own money.
Yeah, but we're starting our own bus service now. I mean, it is ours already, but we're gonna start,
Well, it was ours to begin
well,
with.
that's the county's job.
And they
Yeah,
have
bus
theirs,
service.
but it's
They have
different.
theirs.
Well, then let me use the county's.
I'm just looking at ways we could maximize what we have available now
But
to make more
what
money.
we are
Let's charge the
thinking,
seniors $2 instead of $1. Is that gonna work? No.
No, I'm saying like, but somewhere that maybe we're already going somewhere during the day, shopping, for example, where someone else needs to go, and instead of the senior fare of $1, you can get the person with for
I
$5.
appreciate where you're coming from,
Yeah.
but I see that as, that's something we lose control of if we're not careful.
I'm only mentioning it because when I did a survey on the What's Going On Johnsburg page,
Right.
roughly 2,000 people responded and said that they think the bus service should be available for people other than seniors and disabled.
Correct, and that's why
that's
as a
because
board,
there's
Pace is very unreliable
Yeah.
here
So
in
there's
Mchenry.
a clear like,
Yeah, there is
Those-
a clear
it's a clear
need
need.
for it, for sure.
I think we should go to the county with that need, not, we should not make that our need.
okay,
Again, just my opinion.
yeah, it's just that.
I mean, we're gonna have 20 bus drivers out there
Township
pretty
is
soon.
looking over,
But if it's paying for
Part-time,
itself,
no benefits.
yeah.
There you go.
But if it's paying for itself,
Again, I'm all for,
I don't know that immediately
One of the things
something
that we're
we should
looking to
but-
do is to expand and whatever, like you were saying.
yeah.
Kind of what you were saying, John, is taking specific days and going to specific stores, whether it be Jewel, Myers, Walmart.
You'd probably even get them to give you a dedicated time. If they're opening at like 9, they might even allow us to get in there with a group of people at 8.
Correct.
if you wanna make money with the bus service, here's one of my thoughts, and I had this long time ago. If we got people that are working at Jimmy's Diner, that are taking our bus to work, Jimmy's Diner should be paying for them to be on the bus.
The people would be paying.
No, but that should be Jimmy's Diner paying for the people to take
It's
the
not
bus to
Jimmy's-
work.
It's not Jimmy's Diner
Well, I'm just throwing a
responsibility
name
to-
out there, you know
person
what I'm
that
saying?
manages
Like,
the
they know
diner.
exactly what place I'm talking about, but.
So that person is either disabled or meets the criteria to ride the bus. He can take it to work because he pays taxes.
Again, I don't
I'm
disagree with what you're
just,
saying. No, I
I'm
don't
trying
disagree
to
with
think
what
it through
you're
my
saying.
head and understand, and and look at his request too, I'm trying to put the two together, and it just,
There's a person who used to go to work every day on Jewel, and she was only like 42 years old.
Think of it as an extension of EA, like, maybe
But
that's
if
the way you
she's
look at it.
disabled,
she's
then it doesn't
disabled,
matter.
that's how,
That's how she's
Okay,
getting.
again, we're just sitting there
Right. She may
discussing.
not
Like,
be able to drive.
No, but I'm like thinking more broadly, because we talked about emergency assistance the last meeting. We spent a lot of money there, a lot of money for people with gas, et cetera.
That's coming up pretty soon.
What's to say, like, you know, Debbie, maybe you've got someone in the program, we find out their car broke down, and maybe we can't fix it because they've already expended their funds for the year. What if they could ride the bus at a non-subsidized?
Any GA client can,
Oh, okay.
Yes.
yes.
if
Any
there's
GA
somebody in the
client can.
community that needs to
And
get
I
somewhere.
use PACE
tell them to
tickets
call me.
for clients.
Yeah, we're not gonna tell them no, we just don't wanna promote it.
I just use that as an example.
That's what it comes down to, you know?
I have PACE tickets already,
Right.
so I do use the PACE tickets to get people outside of Mchenry. And if they are low income or in need and they need a ride, they will ride our bus for free.
Part of it,
That comes out of
yeah,
GA.
so, having learned a lot over the last period of time, one of my plans is for the bus that I would like to bring and recommend in the future is that our buses actually leave the township for special
Trips and stuff.
trips, meaning that all the doctors aren't located over here. Some are at Good Shepherd, or some are in Lake Forest. So what you do is you try to pool a day, and it doesn't always work, but on February 15th, the bus is going to Lake County for X doctors or whatever, the hospital. There could be ridership there. There could be ridership, and this would be a change. There could be an 8 a.m. bus ride on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays to McHenry County Community College from the township. They just have to get themselves to a central location, and we'll load a bus up and run them down to the community college. These are things that are going through my head on trying to build ridership, which falls into your arena of things.
We're not doing
Also,
service on
special
Saturdays anymore,
events.
right?
Pardon me?
We cut service on Saturdays? We're
No,
not doing
we're not
Saturdays.
doing service on Saturday.
Oh,
First
so
thing
I-
I want to do is expand our
We haven't
hours
done that.
earlier.
Well,
and
that's what I'm
later.
asking the question. We're not doing service on Saturdays.
No.
Well, maybe that's where we need to expand, because you already got the equipment.
I don't disagree, but the first thing I'd like to do is expand our hours in the morning and the evening. Our bus service ends
Same
at
reason you have the
3:30.
equipment,
Yeah.
I get that.
I agree with starting it early, ending it later.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
The buses used to do special trips, I think it was like twice a month. We would take the seniors or disabled, whoever, to different places, whether, you know, botanical garden, whatever.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Shopping mall.
So the one
used to
thing.
I mean,
do
you
that.
use technically our equipment.
Correct. So, yes, it is. So one of the things in the future that, like, to play off of what Debbie says, is that it would ultimately be great to have that part-time employee that's working with senior services that puts a trip to the botanical gardens together, and we load up a bus with 12 people, and on down we go. Absolutely.
Christmas farm up north.
Yeah.
We've done quite a few.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about it.
Any other questions on Senior Express?
Is that me talking too much?
We done with page 5?
No, you're trying to educate me.
We done with page 5?
Any other questions?
The Paisleys, the increase of 1,200 was like the fourth bus?
Yes. Correct. And we're still under budget. You notice it came down.
Yeah.
That would be my part-time.
Are these drivers pre-tripping the equipment before they take it out
Yes,
or anything
they
like
are
that?
required to now to even start. They can't even start their route without doing it.
They're pre-tripping the equipment?
Correct.
Okay.
There's a
Checking
whole-
lights,
There's a
tires.
whole.
There's a whole
list,
checklist built in. So they have a tablet that they get
Can I
with
get a
the
copy of
bus.
that if you don't mind?
It's on their tablet, there's not a.
But we asked for demonstrations.
Yeah, I
so
can-
maybe that would be.
I'd
The
like to get a
pre-trip
copy of that.
checklist?
Yeah. I used to train drivers at UPS.
I don't know if there's a
I know what a pre-trip's about.
printable
Not
checklist.
Probably not.
No, you would have
I
to,
wouldn't do that.
Never, not you.
should have had Eric bring one of the tablets up and he could have shown.
Oh, I'd
the
rather see a hard
outlines.
copy in writing. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't think there's a hard copy because you have to, when they set it up, they go in and they set up different, there's a whole
There's
other series of
parameters.
parameters to put in.
I just want to know if
On
the
what
chicken
they're
oil, I mean,
required.
I'm looking for different things that might not be on there, so.
There's
You don't want to
a,
start engines oil, okay, I'm just, you know,
there's a pre-chip checklist
Thank
that
you.
the bus driver,
And then there's a maintenance checklist that,
Eric does.
Eric
And that
does.
group.
yeah. All right, any other questions on Senior Express? Okay,
can we go through the assessor's page with the assessor here?
Yes,
yes.
We'd rather go through it tonight, right? If we have questions on the assessor's.
Well, I thought you
page-
said specifically you didn't want her here tonight. Maybe we should go
I
through
didn't
it.
say that.
Who said it last meeting? Said we should
Maybe,
have her
maybe
here?
she did, I didn't.
Oh. Maybe we should go through it high level and see if there's anything that we align on that need to be
That's-
discussed.
Okay, that's not a bad idea.
That's what I-
And then
Not a
we're
bad
aligned
idea.
when we talk with her.
It's not a bad idea.
So
Glad you agree.
how many employees are there within the Parks Division?
Did she email you?
It's on their page, it's, 3 full-time or something?
Two,
No, it's
one.
not on
Four
there.
part-time? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one.
2 full-timers, 2 part-time, 1 season.
No,
That's Parks. Yep.
That's parks.
How many are within
Well,
the
Parks is-
assessor division?
you want the assessors. I was gonna pull it up here really quick. Hold on, I'll tell you.
Okay.
Because I did not, I should have put that on the notes and I did not, I apologize.
Was that in the administrative?
That came from you, right?
yeah.
That's a big freaking Jew.
So this budget doesn't include her salary.
It does the second one.
Assessor, yeah, it does.
Her salary's on there.
Oh, okay.
Assessor elected.
It's still, it just says elected and
Oh,
separated out.
Oh, wait,
Separated,
people that
okay.
she have in her department. That was,
Again, fine
Hold on
grade
one
for
second,
overtime.
guys, I'm working on it
Manage your
here.
freaking department.
sometimes when overtime becomes necessary, it's better to budget for it instead of not having.
You've never run a business.
Bite your tongue, sir.
I know that's what you do for a living.
Seems like a big jump.
What's that?
Seems like a big
Well,
jump.
Oh, it's a
That-
huge,
that's the
it's
question.
it's a huge job.
But the question is how many people are in the department, because if you're figuring 3% per person, that might add up to the 29,000, but I don't know, because I don't know how many people. I didn't think so either, but
No.
I was kind of hopeful.
No.
Otherwise, that is a very questionable thing to jump almost $30,000 in salary.
She's giving larger raises than that.
I'm gonna go see if I can grab it.
I'm looking.
The letter.
Yeah, the email she sent?
Yeah, with the letter in it.
Right. How long ago
I mean, to
was
put that in perspective, that one piece of the budget is a substantial portion of the overall tax revenue that comes
Maybe
into the
that's why I gotta
township.
go back.
Correct, correct.
I guess though, they're the people responsible for bringing in.
Oh, I did miss something. Where is that? Back here, it's gotta be.
If there's something that's missed or you guys have a question later, you can always email me or,
Insurance, budget 61,000, jumped to 90,000, that's almost.
Jump.
Health insurance.
Health insurance, went from budget last year 61,000.
Could have been the number of employees increasing though too.
Well, that's.
We gave her
the
2
question.
people last year.
That makes sense.
So that's a big jump.
And we
for
thought
just
that was,
2 people.
she's the only one we gave people to, was her. Last year.
Okay, so
Remember.
61,000 and 90,000,
And
that's
aren't we coming up?
$30,000,
Well, you know, she
$15,000 a
said,
person?
and this will be something she'll mention. We're coming up on that quadrennial where they
It's
have to
this year right now.
They have to
It's-
reevaluate
Of course,
everything.
you know she is.
So, like, that's a lot of work.
Okay. They just said, okay.
I mean,
all right, I just found it. So I think Gary's gonna print this out for you guys. She is, hopefully he's printing this out for you. So she's increased it significantly
Really?
due to needing more staff and time in the field. She lost a full-time staff member in September of '22 who had left for a higher paying position and has not
We
replaced
don't
him.
have the number of employees?
She's got
Did
it.
you-
Debbie's got it.
Okay,
Here's my recommendation, Deb, before,
here's the letter that.
every other department's
Oh, okay.
cut money. We should ask her to cut money, cut your budget by 10%. Everyone else has cut their budget.
So we still don't know the number of people you said?
No, let me see if Flo gave it to me in the budget. All right, so Flo gives me a budget.
She wants another full-timer.
So
Another
she wants to
part-time.
replace the
Someone
person plus
specifically for field.
All right, so let me go to here. Well, Flo gave me the benefits, so.
We gave her 2
Hopefully on
people
there.
last year.
All right, so let's see, she's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
We don't have to give
7 full-time and 1 part-time.
And she wants to increase it,
She
One
wants another
full-timer?
full-time and 2,
so she wants to go to 8 full-time and 3 part-time?
yes, plus overtime then for all said
Right.
staff.
Right, and then she's adding 5,000 for overtime.
I'm not for giving her any more people. I'm just throwing it out there. We gave her 2 people last year, and that was supposedly enough, and all of a sudden.
Well, the person that she lost, would that
We're not
person be
talking
within the
about
7 full-time people allocated?
that's what I'm
Or would that have been
understanding.
an 8th person?
The way I read it, she wants a
No.
new, it says new full-time staff.
So the 7 that she has is 7
Minus 1
minus
that's currently.
the person that she hasn't replaced.
No, she has that, she just has it as a full-time field tech. It is in the budget.
I think what we're saying is, she has 7 full-time people, 1 part-time right now.
She has
She
6
mentions
right
that
now.
they're, okay, she has
She
6 right
did
now.
not replace that one. So that 7th one is not in there right now.
So she wants to stay at 7?
And get an extra.
She wants to stay at 7 and add a part-time.
So she wants to stay at 7 full-time, and then go from 1 part-time to 3 part-time.
Right.
So it's not adding a full-time person.
I need to verify that with her, because clearly here it says new full-time field staff. The reason that she's increasing the budget, it should have been in the budget last year, the full-timer, if she just replaced it at full-timer.
Yeah.
This says new full-time, so I'm,
Well, and yeah, this full-timer was left in September, so it wasn't part of
I mean,
our discussion.
but she's
last time
saying
we
the new
added-
full-timers, if she's replacing one, that's not a reason to increase, the budget.
Yeah, so I think that means,
We
that's
need
not
to
clear.
clarify.
What's not clear?
She lost her part-timer in September, so that, or not part-time, full-timer,
Right.
that she hasn't replaced. And then she's asking for a new full-time field staff.
Right.
So is she asking just to replace the
Well,
one she
that's the
lost in
way I read this.
September? Or is
That
she looking
might be
at,
what she wrote, but that's not what she.
Well, it says my
That's not
proposed-
what our numbers reflect.
Okay, well,
So
so my
if you take-
proposed budget increase is largely due to the following.
If you take,
Well, and that could be because she did not,
If she's replacing one, that's
I don't
not a
think-
reason for the budget to go up.
I think we're splitting hairs. If you take her existing salary from this year, which was 298,000, and you do a 3% increase to that, the difference between the proposed and that amount is $20,814. So she's essentially increasing the budget by above the wage increase.
Right.
Another 20 grand, 21 grand. So is that a part-time person probably?
that sounds like a
I
part,
don't know, that's why
So if
we,
that's the
that's
case,
why we
then-
need Mary here.
Yeah, so if that's the case, then when she says new full-time staff, it's probably just backfilling the
replacing
person
what she
who's
has.
no longer here.
I don't have a problem with that, I
Yeah.
just wanna make sure we're not adding people.
Yeah.
the only person that's being added is a part-timer.
Okay, well, I'm against that. And again, the increase in salaries, I don't have a problem with that necessarily either.
That was roughly 9,000
Yeah, I mean.
on top of the last year's
If she wants to
298.
give someone more than 3% raise like we did for the township folks, we should do that for her as well, in all honesty.
Yeah.
so she wants, okay, it's that year, that she has to go and everything has to be assessed and whatever. Well, next year, the year after, you don't, but she's still gonna have the same staff.
She's gonna have to let one, well, then maybe that instead of new part-time person, it's a new seasonal person, 1 year, or like contract basis, where they're not needed after that year. Because if she's
Because
able to
once
do.
she has it, she's not gonna let him go.
Well, that's what I'm saying, if she's able to do what they're doing now, and the number of people she's got minus 1 full-time person,
Right.
That might be a question.
I mean, we did give her 2 people last year. And we didn't give her a hard time on it at all.
yeah.
That's just my question. You're adding a staff member now, but are you still gonna need him? I mean, what's the
So you need to explain, I
projection?
did, need to explain it, I get it.
I'm not opposed to adding.
And here we go, 39.5 for HRA again.
HRA sucks, just deal with it, dude.
Look what we actually spent.
Just deal with
Yeah,
it.
so 12.
Move on.
I'm not going to.
I
Again,
know.
there's four
I
of
know,
us.
but
You guys do what
it's
you want to
almost
do.
9 o'clock. It's past my bedtime, so let's move on.
And you're gonna miss the next 3 meetings, so
No,
we
I'm
gotta get this
not.
done.
So the,
Hang on, I wanna just make sure that, like, per person seems to be the same amount. 'Cause it seems higher.
Oh, the HRA? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you might be onto something.
Well, depends on, her department has more family members and
Oh, okay, the
it's
proportions are
versus
different.
single people.
Yeah, the
Correct.
proportions would be different.
So it's
Okay.
gonna be, it's,
Personally, I'm gonna trust the
Mix is
insurance
different.
numbers were
That's
gone
what it
over and scrutinized, and you guys know what you put in there, so I'm not gonna worry about the insurance numbers.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm not doing that. That's gonna go up.
It's gonna go up every
That's correct.
flipping year from here on out, so.
Right.
there isn't anything going down.
Well, it's just, I totally agree with what,
Right, so I'm not gonna worry about,
yeah, right.
I
I wanna worry about the things
I
we
don't know what you
can.
think you're gonna buy where the price is going down.
No.
I almost brought life prices down at work.
Nice.
Almost. Just kibosh.
All right, so overall, I think the only question that I have on the
That's a
assessment part
revenue number.
is, what's gonna happen to the staff member if you add the part-timer this year? I mean, I think I know the answer, but kind of have a better understanding of it's once every 4 years, and what are you gonna do with them after this year's done?
I'm not going to give her anybody.
I
Even if it
would
was
like
seasonal?
that question answered.
We've gone through the quadrennial every 4 years. So how many people did we have 4 years ago we went through this quadrennial?
Less than she's
Okay,
got now.
less than she has now, so let's get real.
She's not wrong, the values have gone up, everything is underassessed at this point, but,
The number of properties has increased.
yeah, so she,
Those
I mean,
things, but
not disputing that, I just
Throw
wanna
this out there.
understand.
What has she done to improve her efficiencies in getting her job done? That's another
I
line
mean,
of questioning that needs to
we
be done.
just gave her new software a couple years ago, didn't we?
No,
Well, yeah, and you're
not-
paying
not
for
since
the
I've been
software here.
Yeah,
16.
Her software, that BPAM's is old.
Well, the county updated their system, and isn't she using the county system?
She's using the same software. Our
That's a question
software
for her, we don't
communicates
know.
with the county.
Yes.
but she's not even asking for software improvement or,
No, I mean, but we're talking efficiency, that's all that.
right. So,
She is asking for an increase.
She is
He,
asking for.
he,
you
he
may wanna
raised his
respect
prices.
consulting,
Huh?
you may wanna
New full-time
respect,
staff.
Subscriptions is
there
also
something
wrong.
I'm missing?
Subscriptions.
Where is it?
you may wanna respell, subscriptions and consulting
1, 2,
service.
3, 4,
Yeah, subscription.
6.
Subscriptions
And-
and consulting service.
Yeah, please. At first glance,
Considering.
and I'm a little slappy.
They missed an S there.
That's who she's trying to.
You know, that's why you get pissed.
Well,
You know
she
what
does
you want.
have it on here, new full-time staff.
And like, you have all this fun.
I think, I got nothing else to
Is
do.
that
I'm
a
retired.
replacement or is that in addition to?
She didn't give, Flo doesn't have
I'm
another
not,
person in there.
I'm giving them money for raises and stuff, I'm not
So
doing
that's
that.
just to replace Patrick.
It's just a
Wait till this next
replacement, it's not a new person.
And 3% raises should really be 5%.
What did I say? I got a problem with that.
Yeah,
People
so
didn't need to make money, I
they
get that.
Heard 5%, now I want 7%, now I want 9%.
That's not
So-
necessarily true, but,
Especially if it's tied to performance.
right.
You've met her?
All right, any other questions on the assessors?
No,
Yeah.
we need her here for the next
Yeah,
one.
we need her
Okay, so
here.
she'll be here at the next meeting.
It's more about Manning than anything.
Yeah, we'll need her to review just so that we get the
Okay, so I will make
Very
sure
good.
she's on the agenda for the next.
There's a,
Please.
there's a clarification there that the employee that she lost, based on the data that I'm looking at, that was submitted from Human Resources, looking at that data versus what her letter says, she's just trying to replace that full-time,
Yeah, okay,
replacing the
gotcha.
person she lost.
That's
So
where
it's
the
not in
confusion was.
addition
That's
to.
confusing. If you read her note,
It's
the
not-
reason for increase is that she wants it a full-time. That's the way I.
So she's only
Correct.
asking for
And
But
One
using the
part-time.
data that I had access to, it's replacing the person who lost,
Okay.
who she left.
But then she's also asking for one additional part-time person.
Correct.
So I have no problem with her replacing what she's lost because that's already
Correct.
budgeted. It's the adding of the part-timer and what we're doing
Exactly.
moving forward.
Well said.
All right, so last, excuse me, any other questions?
These meetings usually have like 8
Excuse me.
I have a feeling there's gonna be
We
more
should be
than
done in 2
three.
or 3. No, we should.
Because it went from
You know,
298.
there's only one thing I can see. You guys go overrule me. I ain't got a problem. I really don't.
What's the difference on that?
There's at least gonna be 300 because we have to figure out
398,000.
the assessor stuff.
To 332, 750. Two hundred. It's 332,754.
She increased the rate.
298.
50 fucking grand. Oh my God. No fucking way.
It's a 34,000, or almost 38,000.
So if you look
The
at,
next one.
9?
if you look at
10.
290.
So if I
No,
look
no, I
at
got
that,
page 10, but we're here.
Well, 9 I thought we agreed on. That was part of the
did.
assessment.
Part of the,
We're gonna be on page 10, I
Yeah,
just
page
wrote page 10 in here, so I can match.
298, 1, 2, 3.
What the hell?
So what struck you there, John?
Raising emergency assistance to 150 grand from 100.
From 100?
I may not be
They
opposed to
they need more
this.
discussion on that one
Yeah,
too.
89, so almost.
We had discussion last meeting, but
And we need on, but raising it is totally on the line.
part-time rows in.
Okay.
I've got a solution.
That is actually something.
this one we're gonna hear you pipe up?
Yep,
Yeah?
yeah.
All right, are we ready to go to the last but not least?
Oh,
General
yeah. This could be a fun one.
Where in here is GA?
It's under here. It's
Where,
in process.
where?
In here,
Oh,
follow along.
Oh, I didn't print that.
Oh, well,
You guys want that?
it's like we spent like 28 grand.
To see what was
Yes.
budgeted last year?
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
All right, can you go make me a
Those are
copy
roughly the
of that?
numbers.
but I want to see.
They're good ones.
Yes,
I'll make everybody a copy.
Thank
that'd be
you.
awesome. I did not think to print that one. I have it.
It's all smart.
Yes, I should put it in your back. It would be nice.
I'm Irish.
Well, so am I, but look at TV.
All right, so let's get started. It has a separate revenue to start on the top. Basically, you know, underestimating my revenue as always. And then salaries, same as before.
I'll say what you say, Jerry.
It's all pretty much the same. I don't have the, Garrett,
Let's try to, how do you come up with 2,500? And then you jack-
I have still not hired that
It's the
part-timer.
same concept.
That's why you have extra money in there now to do it.
So besides you, there is one other?
No,
Or you're the
there's
split?
not. We keep trying to find somebody, but
So this is all you.
it's so far just all me.
That's why it's that low.
Right. That part-timer, we keep trying, we're just not finding the right person. You have to find
Just worried
the right
about the
person and
insurance.
train them.
Some of her money is in the town.
GA, we estimated the same as before. It's 10 people.
I need to step up. Under personal services,
Personal services.
Personnel services?
personnel. I'm sorry.
Personnel.
You have HRA for 20, you have HRA for 2,500. I totally agree with that.
That's just one part-time person. Well, no, it's
it's
her,
her.
or
It's
a
just-
portion of hers, yeah.
But why is that close to what the actual was and everyone else were jacking 100%?
Because I hit the max last year with my surgery.
Again, I don't have a problem with what you're allowing here. It's here you're pretty much
I
online to
am
where you
trusting the
were.
insurance
Say
information
that
is
again?
provided.
HRA,
Yes.
2,500. You're pretty much on the mark of what we banked. My question to you is why you're in line here with the 2,500, but everywhere else you're jacking it sky high.
Everywhere else
No,
there's
no,
more
no,
employees.
everywhere else it's multiple people.
This
that
is-
have
this is
not
only-
hit
All right,
it.
so if I give you 2,500 per employee, how many employees you got in the town? Seven,
No, no, no.
5?
No, it doesn't work that way, John.
Part-time-
It is-
part-time
the
employees.
HRA,
Yeah.
right, and the HRA is based on what they carry for insurance.
If
So
it's
if
a
it's a family
family-
policy,
It's a family of 10.
Based on mix.
right,
Right,
exactly.
single
It's a
compared to
different-
family.
Yeah.
It's a
big
different.
difference.
I'm just looking at the
formula.
dollar amounts versus what we're putting in the budget, that's all
This
I'm
was
looking
kind
at.
of a false reading because it's only
Right.
part of Debbie's
It's only
insurance and
part of
salary
mine,
there,
and I
and no
actually hit
other
my
full-time
max.
employees.
And I actually hit the max this
Very
year.
good.
I trust the
I'm
insurance
sorry you hit the
information
max,
as
but-
provided by our superior.
Pardon me?
She said blah, blah, blah.
Once the camera's on.
Boy, it's 9 o'clock and here it comes.
Somebody need to sleep?
Yeah.
Just wait.
I was on the road at 5:30.
Did you give everybody the GA thing?
Yep, they all
Yep.
have it, yep.
Good, now you have it. I
didn't leave my house
apologize
until
for that,
almost
sorry.
4 times, But
You know, quite a bit.
So are we showing a $10,000 decrease in GA from 40,000 to 30,000, am I seeing?
Yes, I
But then-
estimated that based on 10 people at the grant amount.
But then a $50,000 increase in EA.
Yeah, I increased it this year just to have that buffer, because we are running close, but I still think we'd be fine with 100.
what do we meet, what if we meet in the middle at 125?
How
Why
about
would
Why
we
would
do
you do
Hold
that?
hold on a second. Let's talk about the philosophy of EA and GA.
Yeah,
So you can understand how the budget was put together. The
Well, yeah, what's up?
philosophy is that GA, you have a set of criteria you have to follow.
Very hard criteria, we talked
Yeah,
about
we
last
talked about
week, very hard criteria.
Monthly
EA
allowance.
is more subjective, and the idea of being a little more subjective is trying to help that person get to the level to where they're not gonna have to require GA later on. That's why we spend more money in EA than we do GA, is we're trying to not put this person on GA, because if we don't get him up and get him to the next level, that, with that money, that potentially he goes on GA, and that's gonna cost the township more money over time.
Well, in theory,
Well,
but
and the
I don't
community
agree with
is
that.
based
Because
on
it's never
that.
happened.
Yeah, but do
You
you
wanna
see where we
base-
are right now in
It
the,
hasn't happened because we've been spending money on GA.
You-
Or on
you-
I
EA.
think-
We'll
I
just
think
start the
the-
conversation.
I think the premise behind it also is that the community has wanted to help give everybody that hand up.
Correct.
Correct, I have no problem with
Not
that.
down.
Well, I think
And
we
it
should
takes
give
time
every
to get
family
done.
$500 and just leave it at that. Instead of that mishmash that we were looking at, again, I apologize for calling it mishmash. But, you know,
So you're saying like, no matter what happens,
this
like,
is, you can max $500 per family. We might be able to help more families, because I don't know what
but
the
I
average
see
that
where
we
it's
help.
subjective and there's so much more information that's needed. But in the EA, you can be a little bit more lenient and flexible because it's not GA.
Correct.
And with the
So
way
what
the
he's saying
economy is
is-
currently
He's just saying make
going,
it a lump sum,
Yeah,
Yeah,
max per family, $500 or whatever it is, I don't know.
like how we had on the bottom where it said. what did it
1,500
say?
for a family.
Is it 1,200, so you go 1,500
Correct.
family and just
Yeah,
not
just keep
get
it
a
at 500, you
Verizon?
probably help more people and need less
We could
money.
do it
but would
however-
500 be enough in certain
We don't even give
situations?
them GA unless they really get bad.
But GA is
What?
recurring.
EA
Correct,
is only at
GA
one
can
time.
be occurring, and I think we still carry people, aren't we? On GA?
Yes, we
That's
have,
the 10.
But
Yeah.
EA is
So-
one time only for the
a year?
The
For
same
that
thing with
year.
emergency assistance.
That's what we're talking about, is
Right.
emergency assistance, so
So
you.
Debbie-
talking
Hold on,
about
hold on,
GA?
hold on, I'm confused.
No, we're talking emergency assistance now.
Hang on.
Okay.
Yeah.
What they're saying is, if you don't do more preventative maintenance, if you will, using
costs you in the long
EA,
run.
it will end up being someone that
But
goes
that's
on
not
GA.
the truth.
But
Gary's saying
GA
it, but that's
is-
not the truth. And I'm sorry I'm saying that, Gary.
No, I understand why you're saying that, you're
Yeah,
fine.
because it's not the truth. Just because someone doesn't apply for GA, they can apply for emergency assistance like that and get it.
no, they
No, they have to
cannot.
apply for the
They have to
GA.
go
Like
through
to
GA
not-
first.
Correct, and that's what makes it easier for them to go through emergency assistance, because you've already, what's the word, you already not proved them,
Vetted.
but you've already gone through the circus is the
And
wrong
everybody
word,
should
the
be
exercise.
Pre-qualified.
Yeah, you pre-qualified them, and that's the only reason you
Can't,
can get.
no, you would still have to reapply for GA.
But we've already collected the data that makes it
Exactly, that's what, yeah, we've already
streamlined to get
collected the
EA.
data,
For
and that's what
emergency.
makes them
Yeah.
successful to the emergency assistance program.
So John,
Because you've
maybe-
already gone through the data.
let me just recap what I'm hearing.
I think-
What you're saying is you think that the current EA amount is too great.
Correct.
And you
For
feel that if
starters.
it was lowered to some lower amount, we would be able to help more families, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Have we
Debbie's
not?
been
You're
telling
talking
us
about
for-
the amounts dispersed.
Yeah.
We're
Okay,
starting
I'm just
there.
trying to follow
Yeah, we're-
this
Yeah, we're
conversation.
starting
So
there.
Debbie's been telling us for months that like, hey, we're getting close, we're getting close. Where are we with the EA budget right now?
Close to 100 grand.
Well, 100 grand was
Oh,
budget,
we're at
70,000 is
Right,
budget.
right.
82, we're not gonna spend
Yeah,
it.
right, we
gonna
won't spend
spend
it. But again, they're asking for more money.
in the event that it's needed, but what's,
Okay,
with,
some of the reasoning why is that you're gonna get, we believe, in our
You will-
discussion.
you will be.
You will, because
In March-
Social Security went up.
Right.
They got an increase in Social Security, that's gonna knock them off some of their programs. They're gonna come to us because they can't buy food, because they're no longer on staff.
And utility.
wouldn't those programs,
And utility
cost
Gas
of,
bill,
programs.
electric bill.
yeah, but wouldn't all of those other
Food
cost
has-
of living things increase to account for the increase in social
No,
security?
No,
they're
they do
not.
not.
So what the federal
They are playing
government
catch-up.
did, right, so what they did now is they were taking and allowing people this extra amount of money on LIHEAP, on food stamps, all that. And now they are going to reduce that back to what it was prior, pre-COVID. So
Despite
instead of
the
being
Social
at,
Security going up.
exactly. So what's happening
Doesn't match the
is
cost
that
of
you
living
have
expenses.
seniors that are on a fixed income that were getting this program. And now that they've gotten this increase in Social Security, they're not gonna get any food
That
stamps
seems
at all.
that seems counterproductive. Like,
It is
they should have-
counterproductive.
They should have made the
Think about it
minimum
when they
the
did
amount
it.
that people get on social security. And
But they didn't, so now we're
Right.
dealing with what
How
they
many
left us with.
people do we have, let's say February 1st of 2022 got some, and are gonna be in line February 1st of 2023 for EA, and our
that's a good point.
regulars at working the system
Annually.
There you go.
annually?
Because there are.
Annually, there is a handful of people that will, like, they will mark their calendar.
Right.
Whatever.
Can we change it so it's once every 36 months instead
You
of
could
once
change
every
it to
12?
whatever you want for emergency assistance.
What do you do? for
Problem
them? You
is
gotta do
that
it all.
you're, for the small
So the
amount of
person
people.
who really needs it gets screwed.
Well,
Right,
they
that's what
come
you're
in, they-
doing.
They need something, then
Once every 36
once
months. you
every
just-
36 months.
Yeah, but the person who needs it every year.
All right, so
And he's
here,
working the
here's
system
an
correctly,
example.
Not abusing it.
Right, exactly.
So someone
here-
could have gotten a $50 gas card February of 22, and now February of 23, they need $1,500 for rent.
Mm-hmm.
That's a person that's not abusing it. Someone who got the full
Great
1,500
example.
and marks it out on their calendar to come back and get another 1,500, or has planned things in such a way that it makes
Right.
it look. So could there be additional language that's added that it's
Yes.
it's more
So
subjective?
here's the thing that I do already that's in place, is that when I give out whatever emergency assistance it is,
I don't agree with that. Everybody
hopefully
has different needs.
there is something that I am going to be utilizing, or I'm helping
That's
them
what I'm saying. There may
with,
be
whether
more than
maybe
50
another
gas cards.
resource
Give them a whole
or
25
another way
months, that's what
to
I'm
fix
saying.
that problem, so
I
they
get
don't
it.
have an ongoing. So they're given a referral for
Yeah.
whatever that might be. If they do not follow up on that referral, and it could be something as simple as going to
Budget.
Consumer Credit, yeah, thank you.
There you go.
CC, I wanted to say CCC.
Yeah, budget class.
If they don't go to this budgeting class to learn how to budget within their household or whatever, when they come back to me in a year and they didn't follow up on that, they don't get assistance.
You're gonna say no EA.
I can say no EA. So that's, we already have that in place for what you
Yeah,
were
for the
saying.
abuse.
Because you are gonna have that anytime you're giving out public assistance, you are gonna have those few that are gonna abuse it, lie to you, whatever. I have done more detective work than I ever thought I would have to. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a detective, and I'm not a lawyer. So I do have to take some stuff at face value, other stuff I'm not going to.
Here's my personal opinion.
For the small amount of money that we're doing, even though it's a big amount of money, but for the small amount for one time in a year, it's not worth sometimes the time that you would have to investigate.
In my opinion, based on the current economy, the fact that I don't see prices going down, we're almost hitting the 100 grand. However we split things up and how they get the EA, you've been doing a great job at that. But I don't think 100,000 for next year, given where our economy is going to go down. I think we're going to use more EA. We're going to be struggling to help the people
Who really need it.
who actually need it. I mean, if they're going through that application process, trust me, I know they need
It
it.
is amazing how many people they will come here and it ends up being a last resort.
Mhm.
For one, the majority of these people do not ask for assistance. Yes, you have those that are gonna come in that have done it before, or whatever. But the majority of people that I have are not.
They're embarrassed. The people
Yeah.
are embarrassed to come in
Right,
and ask for help.
exactly. You know, it's like, I really thought, you know, this,
I can
that.
handle it.
And then you have those that, you know, were collecting rent for a whole year and working, and now are saying, well, I'm 4 months behind. Well, I want to see the paperwork. When did your payment stop? Why haven't you saved the money to pay? Why are you 4 months? If I can't see helping them going forward, I can't help them.
Yeah.
You know, I have a whole list of questions to ask them, especially since there were so many people that did get that year and a half of assistance where their rent was paid for a year and a half. Well, if you've been working over that year and a half and you haven't saved a penny, we have a problem.
Yeah.
See, personally, I think emergency assistance is gonna go the other way next year. This is going through the whole COVID crisis and everything else that came up. That's how we got into this problem to begin with, in my
COVID,
opinion.
right, I'm gonna tell you that with the COVID, we spent less money than we've ever spent with COVID because there was so much other funding out there.
Yeah.
The county had
Stimulus and-
millions of dollars to give out.
And it's all been cut off
Millions.
now.
I mean, they went through
So
60
tell them to do
million
your
like
job.
that.
It's not that you don't have a job, the things are so expensive. I went from a family of 4 paying, you know, maybe $500 for groceries a month to $1,500 a month.
Yeah.
It's insane. I can't afford that. And I work 4 jobs.
It's not our job to cure the economy, for
I
starters.
understand that, but somebody
No.
who just, they
All you're
missed, they
doing
missed
is
a week of work
helping
from
your
getting sick.
community to get a hand up.
I'd rather
If
give,
it'll help them to keep them out of, or keep them working so that they can
I get that.
continue, that kind of stuff, then.
it's like, you know, you give the guy a gas card, you can't help him again the rest of the year. I don't agree with that. I think you give $500 per family and it should just, everything should just fall in place.
You get $500,
Oh,
they
no.
gotta use $50 on gas and spend the rest
Do you know
on
how, you
groceries.
can have people lined up
They
there
need
for
it.
gas cards, no.
So,
I wouldn't agree with
Yeah.
that. I
No.
would think that would be
so
a
you
bad
do
decision.
realize when she's paying rent for somebody, she cuts the check to the landlord, she doesn't give it to the person.
Oh, the clients do not get any cash.
They don't get any cash,
Well,
No
I do
cash in here.
realize that.
yeah. So same with ComEd, NICOR, all of
That's why
those
you
are
have the
paid
agreement.
It's
direct.
all direct vendor payments.
Yeah, so they can't get a check or a gas card, go sell that gas card for $40 and get a 1.5
That's
at
not
Tito's.
Gas card is the only one
I
we
know,
do.
that's the only cash, but I'm just saying,
Right.
they can't take the check.
Anna, what are your thoughts?
I agree with the increase and so, at least as far as I could tell in my own professional life, cost of everything is not coming down. I think things are gonna get worse. I think we're gonna see more requests for assistance this year. Where my mind is it's kinda counterintuitive that if someone comes in and asks for a $50 gas card, that's it for the year, that same person could very well have a rent need 6 months later.
So that's that point, I agree with that.
I actually think that we should reevaluate the criteria by which someone is given the EA, where if it's certain, you know, if they get a $1,500, you know, help with rent or whatever it is,
You're done.
they're tapped out, I get that.
So
But if they're
you,
given,
I can track it.
That,
I am
And that was-
already able to track it.
that was gonna be my next question.
Yeah.
But if they come in for a gas card or help with a utility bill now, and 12 months is a long time,
Right.
It is, I know.
I think that person should have I think maybe it's
The
almost like
ability
you should
to
have
come
2
back and get
buckets.
something with-
You should
Yeah.
have like minimum requirements to live and then like the extra stuff, car repairs, gas card. If you get one from other, it doesn't preclude you from getting the main ones. But
Or
then
if you
between
just-
the two combined, there's one total. And
Yeah.
I honestly don't know if, I mean,
There
I
is
think
a
about
way
my
to-
own family.
There is a way to do that. I have thought about doing that. It's just-
I
I
like
don't
that
know,
idea better, where
15
you have 15 or 2,000, where that's the
gonna say-
yearly limit
Yes.
for your ability to come in for EA, because like I agree. The times are different and
It is different.
you know, you may need help with gas this week, you may need, you know, 3 months from now, you blew a tire on your car and you need to be able to get to work. You know, 9 months from now, you've been really struggling, and everything's up
Could've
and you have to go to the
fallen over
doctor.
here.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, there's
missed work,
so
got
many
sick.
Yeah.
situations that are possible, and that's what that's for.
Well, I
So
agree
one
with all
time
of
it's-
that.
So I think there needs to be
Yeah,
like
but track it.
there needs to be a
There
delineation
has to
between
be.
I
like,
do
Right.
have the
Gotta
ability
track
to
it.
track it, so I could say that this is a max for a year.
I mean, you're
whatever.
creating a lot more
We can
work.
we can, Gary and I can sit down
Yeah.
But you're
and
helping
figure
the
that out.
community, you're
I mean,
helping.
But that's what you guys are
very
saying.
high
You're
level,
not
like,
trying-
could you
you're not
tell us
taking
how
2,500
many
bucks to help
families
more people.
or
That's
and
not-
how many people we helped with EA
I
last
think
year?
that just opens it up for more.
Last year?
Just calendar year
And you can't
22.
get cash.
Well, if you got the same,
But you can't give cash, it's paid direct to what they.
And like of those, what portion or what percentage would have been like more significant stuff like rent and significant utility bills?
I can break it down by category.
Versus, yeah.
She's got it back there.
Yeah, I can break it down by category.
Mark, what do you think?
I don't think that 150,000 is appropriate. I think it should be less. And I think it should be, I don't think 1,500 is appropriate. I think that should be less.
1,500.
For the year, maximum household, I think that amount should be less.
Okay. Because we had the way we had the breakdown.
Yes. Yeah, 1,200 individual, 1,500 family. I think that should be less. And I know prices are going up.
They are.
That's besides the point. Our income isn't getting any larger here. I don't
No.
think we have extra funds for social programs when there's a lot of funds out there for social programs. I don't think that we should have to spend that much money.
You already know I agree with Mark.
Are we on live TV or?
Yes.
Okay, then I'll keep my, actually, I'm to myself.
I want to know what it was.
I'm,
Yeah, you have by category.
yeah,
Show me.
and it's got to be grants.
I'd rather give less and help more. Is where I'm coming from.
Yeah, but then you run into a situation
I'm
where maybe
listening,
that's
I
not
just-
enough to help someone.
We're gonna have problems either way we go with this, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? You can't help everybody, it's just the way it is.
So what's the
Hate to
what's the
say
happy,
that,
So what's the happy middle?
Well, I didn't agree to the 150, but 125. But I agree that, that's my train of thought.
I mean,
Oh,
Debbie
you
put down
wanted
30 grand
the
to
tracking.
GA.
Okay,
Yeah. Just by
You gotta be able to
count.
track it.
right. All right, so, no, this is, because it included GA, I gotta.
I mean, Debbie asked for 30 grand in GA, we have no choice, GA is gonna be whatever GA is. We have to fund that regardless, whatever the dollar amount is.
Okay, so last year, 2022,
That year's gonna be worse comes from.
And the actual usage was very low on GA anyway.
I only paid
Great.
out 360 for, why can't I get, there you go. I can read it now. 360 for medical. That was actually for
$360 total.
Dental.
Was the highest you paid out to anybody?
Yes, and then shelter was 48,000.
That's a big one.
That was helping people with rent or a hotel, depending upon what the situation was. It doesn't break it down, it's just under shelter. So whether it was rent or hotel, or mortgage. Transportation was 3,200. Utilities was 17,000.
Yeah, that's gonna go up.
So John, what would be your thoughts on delineating between the two? So like housing
So I
and
didn't even do
utilities,
any gas cards.
housing and utilities versus like gas and car expenses.
I didn't even use any gas cards last year.
Again.
But like to your
If
point,
guy just gets a gas card, he comes back 6 months later, like you said, I don't have a problem helping him again. I'm just saying we have to have a max per family, per household, however you want to call it. I mean, there's 3 people go to work in the family, they might all need help going to work.
correct.
And that's where I'm coming from.
Well,
And then
that's
they
why
can
we're
use the
talking
bus
about
service we
changing
learned
it.
earlier.
Exactly. Well,
So,
yeah, right.
but for the top bucket, for mortgage and rent and utilities, you know what your own bills are.
Yeah.
If you're out of work for a certain time, like what is a reasonable amount?
Yeah, like one max for
We
that.
can't be the only one funding all these people, man. You got the county out there.
Not all these,
They
people,
are.
and they are looking for
Oh, they
other
are.
resources.
They are.
And they're required to, I would require.
Again, we're
them
not
to-
required to do emergency assistance.
No, we're not
G,
required.
I
to.
agree, GA's gonna go up. We don't know where it's going next year. That could be
So do
60
we want more
grand to
people
your
on
30.
GA? I mean, this is a way to prevent that.
In all fairness, though, like one of the
No.
hallmarks of the
No.
McHenry Township sort of fundamentals and core principles, though, is helping seniors, isn't it? Is it not? And helping people
It's
in
helping
general.
your community.
Helping your community,
So
I
like if you
agree.
take the EA away, the
Look,
GA
I'm not
is
against
so
this.
little.
If the taxpayers want to give us more money, let's do it.
No, I'm not saying, I'm not, you know, and I,
Well,
again,
that's what I'm worried about.
I'm
We've
not
got a lot of money.
I'm not necessarily sold on the
No,
increase
we
either,
still
but
have
I'm
the
saying like,
money.
Right.
where's a happy middle? Where's a fair ground where we can help more people, but help it more people legitimately, and not cause someone more hardship?
How many families did we help to emergency assistance?
Families?
Yeah.
Do you have a total
By-
amount, like by the number of,
By
like,
lowering the total amount from 1,500 to 750, we can help more families.
well, maybe Debbie's got data
Not
on that, so, like-
necessarily. So here's the other thing that comes into play, and I understand what you're saying, but if you're only helping with 750, and their rent is 1,200, just say. If it's not a full payment, the landlord may not accept it and still go ahead with eviction.
No, we understand that.
So
That's
maybe
law.
that's
That's
why
not
there
our
needs to be
decision.
separation between, here's housing rents, whatever, your limit for that versus everything else that you give you.
Lucy, you're,
And
I
break
see
that
what
down to
you're, okay,
every-
so that's a
down below
different, that's another process.
so guy's paying rent for $2,200, he's paying rent for a family of 5. We can't help him with the 2,200.
that. Correct.
Correct. So it's the same problem, you know, it's 750
Well, I'm
versus
doing the
1,200.
same
It's the
thing
same
now with
argument.
families that have rents that are higher, because of course, the reason we increased that from 12 to 15 is because the rents went up 3 years ago. So we did increase that three years ago, I think it was.
what would be your thoughts on a cap that is lower on everything else unless it specifically is rent or mortgage, and for that one, the cap is higher? But that's the annual total cap. So for example, if it was car expenses, gas, whatever, the max is 500. But if it's specifically that they come in for help with rent, then it's up to 1,500.
I think 1,500 is too much. I don't have a problem with the $500 number or whatever it was.
1,250, whatever.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that number. I think your rent is too high. Someone, look,
The house next door to me is a
I want to help
three-bedroom,
more people.
three-bedroom,
Okay.
one-bathroom house next door to me is renting for $1,400 a month, and it's an okay house, but it's a small house. $1,400 a month.
I
So,
understand that, but it's not our job to help.
No, it's a
Everyone.
hand
No, but
up,
if you're
it's not
helping
a
them for
hand
1
out.
month so that they can continue the rest of the year, that's
the-
huge for a
Of course it is, but
family.
that's the theory.
But
How
this
many
would-
people
this
they
would-
help, and you know they've succeeded,
but this would actually help your situation too,
If they're
where
not
it's like,
coming back, I know they're succeeding.
or they're going off somewhere else
the
for money.
likelihood that someone comes back year after year
You're
after year for
jaded.
help with rent,
Not jaded.
probably more slim than
I'm
someone
saying
that
help
comes
more
back for
people.
help with like all the other incidentals, right? If it's the smaller stuff, because they have to justify it, Debbie, how far behind are you? How did you get this far behind? She's dealing with the landlord. If someone's coming back year after year after year, it's, to me, they're getting the smaller little stuff that they know they can get, right? So that's why I'm saying, if you delineate between the two, housing is an absolute necessity. The other stuff maybe is necessary, but not the same in the same way. So if you prevent those people from gaming the system by lowering the cap on all the other stuff, but leave the rent, again, the amounts for debate, I'm just saying that would
Okay,
allow
I
us
know
maybe
what
to help
you're
more
saying.
people.
If you guys wanna, all right, so if you guys just wanna cap the max amount at 1,200, and
But we're
then,
not there yet.
I'm just
Go ahead.
saying,
Well, I was gonna agree with
My
Adam.
thought
I was gonna agree with Adam.
If you're short
Adam
on rent,
approached me.
you're not short the whole amount, you're short some of it. So you got, let's say your rent is 1,500, you've got 900 in your
But
pocket.
they're usually behind by the point that by the time they come in, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, by the time they come in, Debbie, they're behind on rent, not just short on 1 month's rent, they're typically behind, because that
they're
whole
getting ready
typically,
for-
right, they're
application process
typically
took
behind more
time.
than 1 month, and I'm using multiple agencies to get them the help, yes.
Okay. So
Or they're being referred from another agency because they are that far behind.
how often would you get someone who says, I'm a little short on rent this month, I need help this month, I'm a little short for just this 1 month and not past due?
No, they have to be past due.
So like they
They
can't come in.
have to be
if they're
30
only
days
part-
past due.
Adam, back to the way you approached me. I agree with everything you're saying if we stay at 100,000 instead of 150.
Because theoretically, we'd help more people by capping the smaller
Well, that's,
stuff.
I agree with what you're saying, but I want this to be down 100 grand, not 150, is where I'm coming from.
We did take out 10,000 from GA, what if we move it to 110 and just keep the same total
Well, she
budget?
raised GA to by 30.
GA, she went from 40 to 30.
She went down.
I brought that down.
Okay.
So what if we just
Well,
keep
GA
the
is just
same?
a number, that's gonna be whatever it is, she can't play with that number, we can't fudge that. They can go up to 50 grand next year, we don't know.
I'm just, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's, we have to fund GA.
I'm saying, looking at budget item versus
Yeah,
budget
we-
item.
I get that. We have
Last
to
year was
fund GA.
100, it was 140,000 between the two. If we go to 130,000, it's 130,000 between the two. We can do 110 and be at the same
Keep
budget.
GA out of it. It's total, we can't control GA. That has nothing to do with the budget. I understand where you're trying to come from, all right? But we-
I don't know that 100,000 is gonna be enough for.
Mark, can you agree for 100,000?
Yes.
Can you agree for 100,000?
I feel like it's too low.
We're talking 110 versus 100.
Split the difference, 125.
Well, that's what I offered in the beginning, but they've already done.
What do we do there?
You don't like 125? If we put the limitations on
100 is
it?
good for this year. You help them write the program, I'll help them write the
Because
program.
next year it's going to be
I don't believe it.
worse.
Well, if it's gonna be worse, then it's gonna be GA that jumps in.
No, because it's
It's
so much
already-
harder to qualify for that.
We're really gonna argue over 10 grand?
No, I'm saying, I think it should be 125. I think it's a fair
I
amount.
think it should be 125.
I think it should be 75. That's what I'll
So
do.
we're all gonna disagree.
Who taught you how to haggle?
I'm a dago.
They started with 50 at once every 3 years.
Don't care.
Debbie, can you tell us how many people needed mortgage and rent assistance in calendar year
She
22?
can't-
Versus how many people
threw it
in
out
total
there.
needed the other things?
Is that printed and counted?
I have to go to, no, this is the grant one, so I have to go to the client and see if it'll delineate that.
You went from 110 to 125, so I had to go the other way.
No, I was trying
You
to,
went from 110 to 125.
no, where I was going was that 10 would cover half of what I was gonna tell you.
Okay. Come on, Adam.
Listen, and I'm not for free handouts either, John.
No.
But like,
Oh,
I look
neither
at my
am I.
own
I
family
agree too.
situation, if I was in a situation like that wouldn't help us.
During the Christmas program, I saw people pull up with Cadillacs getting free presents, okay? So I know what that's about.
I've been in this situation before, so
Oh, yeah.
I know how much it is and how much it's
So I will
costing.
tell you something. Do not judge a book by its cover, people. You don't know where that person got that car, if it was their car, or anything else
Right.
about their life.
You're right, Deb, I apologize, I was out of line.
Please. Thank you. Sorry.
I went out of here one night feeling about that big with this same deal.
I'm not gonna
Oh
get
my
into
gosh.
details, all right? There's no reason to get into detail. It's not gonna change anything.
All right. Group. I can't group the clients by the category.
How many people in total was it?
Oh, geez, I closed that report.
Oh, it's okay. Never mind. It's fine.
I want to say, what did it say? How many people in total
Mhm.
for 2022?
Yep. And then how many specifically for mortgage or rent assistance?
Well, she's looked that up, Adam. I could agree to 150 if we lower how much money we're giving out.
But that's why I went the direction of ultra necessity versus
Well, it's where
the other stuff.
I really don't have a problem with 150 as long as we're helping more people.
I think
That's
we
where
would-
I'm coming from.
Yeah, my assumption is that we can help more people if we limit the stuff that's not specifically rent and mortgage. But
And
I
I
still
agree.
think we have the total annual maximum,
Yes.
but on both portions, but it's a smaller maximum on the incidentals than
Yeah,
the
like
mortgage.
your phone, your groceries, your gas, your, all that stuff.
Yes, because there are so
$500.
many programs for that stuff, the
There
free
are.
phone,
There are, so take
Yes.
that down to 500, but the housing,
There's
the
not as much
utilities,
assistance.
that.
Do you
well,
wanna
no,
see
not
all the money
utilities,
goes to
no.
utilities and housing instead of all the other
Well,
stuff?
utilities, you said 17,000 went to that stuff.
Well, I said
She
it.
said 48,000 went to housing assistance and
And
17,000
17,000
utilities.
utilities. So what I'm saying is, you wanna suggest all the money just goes to housing and utilities? I can agree with that.
It looks like 96.
People, okay. I think there's merit in the other things, but maybe a more extreme cap. So what about like, you said 5, what about,
The most they
like,
spent
what's
was
popping into my head is like,
$368.01.
what about $250 cap for the car repair stuff, the gas stuff, the medical stuff?
The food,
And
because
food.
there are so many facilities out there for
Correct.
that.
And then, so 250 cap on those, whether it's, like, that's it.
Yeah.
On those
Medicine,
specifically,
medicine,
250, yeah.
250. And then the, I think, I don't know, 1,000 individual, 1,500 family for rent and mortgage assistance, whatever it breaks
Rent,
down to.
mortgage, utility?
And we go based on whatever the average is in the county.
Rent, mortgage, utility in that cap?
Yes. Maybe utilities have a different cap. So
So
250 for
separate-
the
so we
small
have
stuff,
three
utilities,
categories.
$500, whatever. And then the rent and mortgage, whatever the average is in the county is the cap. Because that data is like widely available. Does that
So
make
three
sense?
categories, 3 caps.
But
Once-
you're tied to one annual total for the whole thing. So if you max it out with rent,
You're done.
that's it. Like, you don't get the other incidental stuff.
well, was that way before anyway?
Right.
But if you
Except
use,
now we were
Or
talking
we'd have
about
to
like,
have Adam send it to
you know,
us.
if you had the
It's changing.
$250, now you can use up to $250.
Yeah, we're trying to give
a
them
year.
more money on the lower end is where you're at. Is what
we're
you're
trying to
saying.
get rid, I think there's a lot of little nickel and dime stuff at the bottom end, that if that wasn't happening, there would be more money for the,
But that's already happening.
but we would be capping it.
She's not keeping it. In some ways, we're helping people more, in some ways, we're helping people less. Because she was only giving $50 away. We were only giving away $50 once in a day. He couldn't come back for
But
nothing else.
But now we
tires,
can.
yeah, but
But now we can, so look, that's why I'm trying to, that's why we're having this debate.
So you guys want to change the emergency assistance program to multiple times a year up to a dollar amount per category?
That's where we're headed. I don't know if we're there yet, but that's where we're headed.
But if they've used the housing, that's it. They don't get to come back for gas.
Because they hit the annual.
Because they hit
But they hit the max.
They hit the
the
max.
max.
All right.
my goal was just earmarking as much of that available to them for the housing, because that to me is the most significant.
You need a roof over your head. Something over your head.
So, or it's just a lower cap on everything except for the housing. $200 a year total on everything else other than housing.
Deb, how many programs out there for housing for people?
How many programs?
Different programs out there, where people get housing.
So if you turn them down, can they go to the county, can they go to the state, can they go to this agency or that agency?
But usually they've already gone to those before coming here.
Specific for
Well,
housing.
that's
Usually,
what I'm
yeah,
saying.
usually
That's why I'm
they've
asking.
already gone to them, but, because I would refer anyone to the county or the state before here, only for the fact that they can get more through the county and the state.
So we're a last resort.
So like, I didn't do a lot, if you go back to 2020 and 2021, I didn't do a lot in rent and whatnot, because the county had that program.
And they've ended
They
that.
all had to apply for that first before they could come here.
Correct. And that has since ended in a majority of places, correct?
That's ended, yes, that ended in September.
That was because of COVID.
September
They-
of last year.
They put that out so that people were not displaced during the pandemic, but that's now.
Correct,
Done.
yeah.
Well, they forced landlords to get people free rent for wherever lake that was too, right? That was part of
They
COVID as
did.
well.
But what I'm also
Force
proposing is like,
landlords to do anything.
if someone has used
Yeah.
the 200 or 300, whatever the small cap is for the incidental stuff, that has come out of what they would get for the mortgage help then. So if the total cap is 1,500, and they've used 200 for tires, when they come to get the mortgage help, they're gonna get $1,300 and that's it.
Because the annual max is still the same.
Annual max is still the same.
Annual
They're
max.
creating amounts.
Again, I'd rather help
Letting
more people.
people come back and forth. But I get it. I'm just thinking out loud.
It's the tracking, it becomes, now you have to track multiple goal
And
lines.
tracking is easy because when they come up, it shows what I'm giving
Yeah.
them regardless.
because they're in the account.
If it's hard to administrate, then it's a bad idea. I'm just looking at, if someone comes in
No,
for
no,
a $50
no, it can be
gas
done.
card.
And
No, it can
I'm
be
going to
done.
go with your concept if we stayed
It can be done
$100,000.
easily, I can track it easily.
I just don't want someone who gets a $50 gas card to not be able to pay their rent.
Well, and it's interesting you say that, because I haven't given out a gas card in over 2 years.
So what's the next lowest thing that you've typically given out that you see? Medical?
Right, the medical.
So someone gets a $200 medical or dental bill paid, but then they end up short on rent. Now, that's like a more substantial thing they can't pay.
Correct.
She probably gives out food cards too, right?
Pardon me?
Food cards for like Jewel or Myers or any of that stuff
They
anymore?
didn't know that. They would-
For emergency assistance
Yeah.
for food, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Those are tracked though, in there.
Yes, they're tracked. So my GA program also, any gift cards I give out are tracked.
Again, Ed, I can agree with you, 100 grand
Pardon me?
in your
What they
program.
spent it on,
Again, we
or
know
what they
it,
got?
this, we can approach this
What they
again
got.
next year, in 6 months from
change
now.
it.
If you
I
get
don't
some,
track what they
No,
spend
no.
on.
Yeah, but why would we change the program if we were
For
leaving the
the
funds the same?
small
Right,
amount
that doesn't make
I give
sense.
out on a gift card.
I'm just trying to get this
It's not
done.
worth.
I still agree with 500 max per family and all
And
more
trying to
people.
get
Of course,
somebody
you're-
to,
but-
they already signed a document stating
Increase,
that they
change the
can't
program,
buy
increase
alcohol,
the,
Look, I'd like to help as many
Alcohol,
people as we can, but our job is to
cigarettes,
make sure the
and
township survives.
which is like.
And we're a
the
last
dumbest
resort
thing
for them to
ever,
come
but
to.
Whatever.
That's not true.
We only helped 100 people last year.
They
And
signed
still
that,
almost went
as long as
to
I.
Question
You want
is-
to cap it a number of people, we help?
I'm pretty.
No, I don't think
Okay,
that's.
then, well,
about
that's,
it.
Say like
Now,
what,
Does a gas station?
Well,
there's no way to
saying.
quantify how many more
I
people we
don't
could have
know.
helped depending on the
Because I
amount.
only use Myers.
And that's where I'm
the one
going.
I use, because I can use it for everything.
I'd rather give less and give out more to more people.
well, I don't just wanna give them
Clothing,
haphazardly $500
Whatever
and
it
not, you
might
know,
be,
that.
I can use.
I'm not saying
on my
haphazardly,
gift card.
they still have to qualify one way or another.
It
But
doesn't matter.
she goes in and pays their
I had a
bill.
guy.
They don't just get it and you trust them to
doesn't have
do
to be
it.
that.
It
Maybe
needs
we
to
should
be
circle
that
back
way.
on this one.
You'll have more people
You
taking
write,
advantage
well, you
of
write a
it.
check to the landlord for that $500, you still do the same thing.
We helped them with
That
the
wouldn't change.
Myers card for that. Now,
That would actually
if
cost more
you
money
buy
if we just did a
food,
flat
I
amount,
don't
because if
know.
they come in looking
But that's
for
what the
50,
doctor
now we're getting
requested,
500.
so
Right.
I'm
who
okay
am I
with
to
that if they
argue
really
that
need
you're on a
it.
special diet? I'm
But
not
if,
gonna argue.
I like it where she controls where the money's actually going and not, you're asking for more people to come in and take advantage of it because hey, you only need $50, but here's a check for 500, there you go.
If they don't qualify, they don't qualify, there's nothing to do with the dollar amount. If they can't qualify for 50, they ain't gonna qualify for 500. They still have to qualify,
Yeah. Maybe we table this one for the next meeting, just because it's getting late.
whatever you guys wanna do.
Good.
All right, so do you guys want me to change this amount at all, or bring
We'll
it
deal
back
with
with
next meeting.
anything?
We'll deal with it another time.
Okay, so we're okay with that. So the only changes.
I didn't say we're okay with it.
Yeah, we need to-
Yeah, I
Further
know
discussion.
it's up for discussion and then lots of
Yeah,
debate.
no, I understand that. So for the next meeting, what changes are we looking at? Any?
The only thing up for discussion is the HRA money, I believe.
Mary's allocation.
Is Mary's allocation of people?
The assessor.
Mary assessors allocation of people.
And then the emergency assistance.
Yeah. And the HR, whatever, because John wants to talk about it.
HRA
assessor,
for-
and GA.
The insurance stuff, John wants to talk about it. Thanks.
The HR monies that you got in your budget.
All right, do you want me to get you an allocation sheet to show how that's figured out?
Please, it might
From-
help.
I'm just
explain.
looking at how much we've actually given out versus what we put in the budget, that's all.
Well, that's on there.
I get that, that's why I'm
The
questioning.
allocation sheet will definitely help out. So that
That's what you
So-
want, the allocation, so it can show how it's
Yes.
paid out. Okay.
And then maybe in anticipation of the further EA conversation, if there's any way to get some sort of readout on number of people maybe in each category that were helped and what the average amount was? Not group,
Oh, on
but like
GA and EA?
EA specifically.
EA
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, GA we can't change, that it's gonna be what it's gonna be.
Number of clients?
You gave the total number, like the number of people per category paid
Per category,
and the average
Okay.
amount that was paid.
with the actual amount?
Yeah, and then was there someone that received a lower amount that subsequently came back for a higher ticket item, like specifically housing? Was someone given something smaller and then came back for housing and they were turned away?
No, they wouldn't even do it. They wouldn't even come back.
Right, they wouldn't come back.
Okay. And we wouldn't then know if they had a need, because they would just know not to come back.
Yeah, 'cause
Right, they would already know. That's been set in stone for so many years
Yeah.
that they wouldn't, and anybody that comes in is told that. This is once every 12 months, so regardless of what you've got, that's what you've got.
Okay.
I've had people call and say, well, I didn't get the full month, and I just tell them, no, you can't.
No, the other part of the discussion, I think Mark brought up, instead of every 12 months, every 24 months, then we increase the dollar. I
Or maybe
could
for-
agree with that.
Or maybe specific categories, like, hey, the tires, gas cards, whatever, maybe that's only every 24, 36 months, but maybe the rent could be annually, or whatever.
Like I said, every 24 months instead of the year would work too. Increase
There
the
are
dollar
townships
because that
that
would
do
help
it every-
too, once every 24 months. I mean,
Yeah.
There are townships that do it every 18 months.
you okay with 24 months and increasing the money?
24, but every 18.
Well, think about it anyways. I mean, I could agree with that. Because again, it's going to help more people, extend the period of time.
Yeah, I'll think about
Right.
that.
In McHenry
Exactly.
County?
Huh?
In McHenry County?
You know what I'm saying?
I do, I'm just.
Thinking about it, I hear you.
I'm gonna say yes, but I don't know that for a fact.
And not all the townships do EA? within-
All but three.
Okay, so
Maybe we should ask how many
15
people
do
for
and 3
that. I mean,
don't.
but that's,
Correct.
Then
And
that's the other
three that
question
don't
I
are
asked.
so small.
Well, I think he asked it.
They probably
No,
wouldn't
he
be
asked for
accurate.
the 1 year. Then,
People to
for
do
the
it.
people that get rent or get
It's
housing
smaller.
assistance, is there, do you have the information for how
Alden,
many of them are
Riley.
repeat customers?
Alden, no, actually,
Sure, they
Alden
would-
will do,
It would be, yeah, she would
and I
have
would
that
help
for year over
Preston.
year.
Okay.
but
with,
that's over.
Burton,
How many people take
Riley.
advantage of that?
Burton does, we do Burton, we used to
That's good. That's
do
good.
all of
No,
Burton.
that's what I'm saying. That's why you extend it for 24 months.
For them.
You're spending the money
Um,
wiser, I
But
guess is the word.
Burton, if they have
Yeah.
one case a year,
I'm not
So
trying to be.
hypothetically, if we increase the budget to like 125, extended it to
amazing.
24 months,
Okay.
bucket
I'm
it
good
with
with
now I know
smaller
he's had
incidentals and like a
couples
smaller
and
cap,
I'm good
and
with
left the
that.
bigger.
But
I'm
yeah,
good
I think
with
he's
that.
But then
doing
it's
a lot
125 a
better
year,
now.
not 125 for the 2
I think you
years.
end up helping
Yeah.
less people if you go to.
You can't just do 75,000 a year,
Oh, it'd be
I
125.
don't know of
Every year.
anyone that's ever
Right.
done 24.
but the requirements are.
But I've
They can't come back every 2 years.
18, I don't know that.
Right. I could agree with that.
I'd have to understand why they would take.
So like
I want that data
1,500,
before I
I
make
you
any
know, to be
decision.
honest,
so
I
like
don't know.
1,500 max on rent. and
I'm okay with
mortgage.
that.
500
For
max on the
24
other
months.
stuff,
Right,
but once every 24 months.
correct. I think we're helping the right people doing
I
it that way.
think we need the data
Yeah.
before we make a decision. Sorry, Deb.
Mark, did you hear what we were just discussing?
Yes,
Do you have a problem with that?
no.
There you go, we got 3 people who agree. We're talking about doing, hiring, keeping the money at 125, and if they want to go 150, I really don't care, but extending the program for 24 months, not every 12.
After we receive the data and we can.
But 3 of us already agree, so.
I think we still
Well,
need to
if
see
you-
the data, because that could point us in a, that could say that that's
I want to see how many people are
ineffective.
taking advantage
Okay.
of it. I want to
For-
see how
I
many
think-
people are coming back
Once
every
every
year for the same
24
thing.
months?
Instead of every 12. Do you have that?
How many people
would that be
did you help
detrimental?
in 1 year, come back the next year for the same thing?
I would have to see if I could, I don't know if I could pull that data, but I could look at names and know.
That's what I
Correct.
want to
That's
know.
what they're looking for.
I want to know if you
Who
help
are
20
repeat
people for
customers
rent,
every year
and
for
those
the
same
same
20
thing.
people are
Trying to
coming
take
back.
advantage of us.
Especially
Right,
if
to
it's
cut-
the mortgage
right.
or the rent,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
expensive.
Yeah, exactly, that's the big
Well,
one.
and you'd have to see if it's for the same item too.
Yeah?
Well,
That's
yeah,
what I'm
that's
saying,
the
so
big
maybe
one.
like look specifically for the largest ticket items, the mortgage and the rent.
And, well, I guess utility would fall into
I
that
can do a
too.
comparable.
Yeah, that's the big one, the guys that come back for the rent
Yeah,
every
that's
year.
what-
Utilities.
People
Yeah.
taking advantage of us, that is wrong.
'Cause you got the same-
Us helping
Oh,
lots of
agreed.
people,
Right.
that is right.
Right, I totally agree.
I'm not trying to be a jerk
Yeah.
either, I'm just trying to get the
Yeah,
information.
right, no.
I move that we close this meeting.
I second it.
All those in favor of
Aye.
adjournment?
Aye.
Okay. And we are adjourned at
9:43.
That's the longest meeting we've ever had, guys.
I had a lot of questions, I'm sorry.
43.
No, and that's what you guys are supposed to do.
That's what we're here for.
Exactly what you're
There's
doing.
more things for us to be discussing because now it is our budget, it's not us covering the past board's budget.
Yeah, of course it's our budget,
Our name's on it,
no doubt about it.
so. I wanted
And
to
the
go.
nice thing is, we all get along
Yeah.
and listen to each other.
That's, well, except for, well, the camera's still on.
You're gonna punch me in a second.